Warning! The Stone Age Gamer podcast includes a lot of bad language. Cover your motherfucking ears.
Good evening and welcome to the Stone Age Gamer podcast. I'm Kris Randazzo, and joining me tonight is suspiciously wide hotel room door, Dan Ryan.
There's so many suspiciously wide airplane aisle.
Oh my god, the most spacious airplane
you've ever seen.
I want to fly Air Mega Man. All aboard the SAG Cartoon Express. This month we've watched a classic episode of Mega Man. Does this classic body swap episode give Freaky Friday a run for its money? Bust out your favorite Bela Lugosi impression because the Stone Age Gamer podcast starts now. Because, you know, when I think Snake Man, I think Bela Lugosi impression.
No, I'm 100%. 100%.
This is episode 556. It's the week of March 7th, 2025, and welcome! For anyone new here, this is the official podcast of StoneAgeGamer.com. Dan and I talk every week about what's happening in the world of video games from a retro gamer's perspective, as well as whatever the hell else is going on in our lives. And speaking of which, what's new and exciting in the world of Dan? Let's do a little quick catch-up. We're still trying to get the hang of this new format, but we don't want to completely get rid of the pleasantries in the beginning, but we are going to get right down to business, so we're going to spend, like, let's say 2 to 3 minutes while I'm waiting to start spinning on Gambler here, talking about just the general pleasantries. So, you know, how are your feet?
Well, most of the time. Actually, yeah, no, 2 toes are fucked up most of the time, but that's all right. The exciting news this week, Kris. My eyebrows have started to grow back in. I have
fantastic
little peach fuzz eyebrows and little like peach fuzz on my face and mustache area. But it's like it's super blonde right now, which is like
right. They're
really
like the pilot hairs.
Yeah, it's really weird. But like at the same time, the only hair on my body that didn't fall out from the chemo was the hair on my forearms, right? Between wrist to elbow was like a fucking werewolf. Everywhere else, smooth as a baby seal. Except for this week, the hair on my arms from wrist to elbow has started to fall out. And when I
just hanging on,
it's like the chemo just got to my arms and it was, oh fuck, we're late. Sorry, our bad. We were hanging out in the elbows for a bit. It was cool there. And now we're down here. Fuck, get this hair out of here. And like, and this was the best. When I talked to my oncologist, and we'll go more into that later. But when I talked to my oncologist this morning, I was like, you know, just as we're leaving, I was like, oh yeah, by the way, like this happened. And he went, that's weird. Thanks, doc. Appreciate it.
You love to hear from your doctor. The best thing to hear from your doctor.
He was like, yeah, man, you know, chemo's weird. I don't know. I wouldn't worry about it. I was like, all right, that's fair. Thanks, man. Appreciate
if you're not worried, I'm not worried.
Yeah, it's like that is... Yeah, so just this week, it is all... it's gone now. I was like, all right, cool. Whatever. How you doing?
You know, not so bad. You know, I got a new phone. That was my fun thing for this week. I got a new phone. I have finally upgraded from the 12 to the 16. The reason I needed a new phone was because the camera in the old phone, they updated the camera, like a major update for the camera in the 13.
Right.
And I was still rocking the 12. And there's a very specific kind of camera shot that I wanted to do that I haven't been able to do for years. And I've been spending a lot of effort trying to make my videos look a bit more professional. And I finally did. All the phone did was increase my bill by $1 a month to get the new phone and trade in my old one.
That's a lot.
So I was like, I think I should do this. I think I should just get rid of the old phone, get the new one. And I shot my first video with the new camera, and I'm so happy.
Yeah, it going year to year on the iPhone is marginal at best. Right? Like, you're like, it's a little faster. The camera's a little better. Okay. It's fine. I got it. But from the 12 to the 16, that is just a massive leap in performance.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The battery life's not... The battery life is pretty much exactly the same as my old phone, which makes me think I'm doing something wrong. Because
probably.
I shouldn't... one of the things, the little things they pointed out at the store was how good the battery life is supposed to be. And, like, this is... I still can't make it through an entire day with without charging it. Like...
Really?
Nope.
What the fuck are you doing on your phone?
I don't know. The transfer from my old phone to the new phone went odd. Like I said before the show, all of the album artwork is completely wrong.
Right.
Just something went odd with this transfer. So I kind of feel like I would need to start over again and uninstall some stuff and reinstall some stuff and see where the day takes me.
All right.
Well, speaking of hair in weird places, let's climb aboard the SAG Cartoon Express, shall we?
It's right there in the seat. Whose hair is it?
It's definitely not Mega Man's.
No.
Oh, boy. It's a fake wig that Proto Man was wearing. We'll get to it. All aboard the SAG Cartoon Express. This is where once a month Dan and I watch old video game related cartoons, then we rank them. This month, we were charged with watching Mega Man Season 1, Episode 9, Bot Transfer. This episode originally aired on November 6th, 1994, and is all about Mega Man accidentally switching bodies with Snake Man and the hijinks that ensue as a result. So first off, we watched Mega Man in the last round of Cartoon Expresses, and the theme song still, as the kids say, slaps.
Oh, it slaps like fucking Rick James, just slapping bitches left and right.
I love I think I remembered it when we last month when we landed on this one, that this is an episode that I specifically remembered. Like, is it Bot Transfer? Is this the one where he changes bodies with Snake Man? Because I remember this episode pretty well. There were a bunch of things in it that I didn't recall, but I remember specifically that he wasn't as fast as he was used to when he was in Snake Man's body. And that, I don't know why that stuck with me for all these years, but it did.
Yeah.
I enjoyed this. I enjoyed it.
I mean, this show is absurd. There's a lot of absurdity in this episode. So, like, we start the episode with Mega Man and Roll and Dr. Light flying coach to Geneva, Switzerland.
In the biggest plane you've ever seen in your life.
Biggest fucking plane, because Gutsman and Cutman, Steve Cutman, attack Mega Man on the plane. So, like, my first thought as we're watching this, I was like, God, how did these guys get in here? Well, it was pre 9/11, so, like, security wasn't as tight.
It's pretty lax.
It's pretty lax.
That was seriously the second note that I wrote as well. How the hell did Gutsman and Snake Man sneak onto a plane? Specifically Gutsman.
Yeah, he's huge. So then they start fighting on the plane, and there's enough room. I don't know how many of our listeners are bougie enough to have traveled by aeroplane. But if you've ever been on one, there's not a lot of room in between fucking anything. Like, if you haven't had sex yet, go on an airplane. It's pretty fucking close. Like, you've had sex with a lot of people by the time you're done on there. But
there's about
not
as
so
much
on
room
this
between you and your neighbor as there is between you and your sexual partner.
Yeah, it's just absurd. But not so on this plane, Chris. Nay. Gutsman, Steve Cutman, and Mega Man are all standing, like, in the aisle fighting. Except for when Mega Man goes to get the beverage cart, and then it's back to just being a narrow aisle. Which I thought was pretty fucking interesting. This beverage cart, which has got to be made of what? Aluminum at best, is strong enough to knock down Cutman and Gutsman. It's a vibranium fucking beverage cart that just wails on these. And like, what's fucking wild about it is that then they go down.
They knocked them. They knocked them the fuck down. Like, they did not stand a chance against this little beverage cart.
And then he doesn't bring it with him. Like, he just leaves this ultimate weapon of destruction behind as he chases after them down the elevator to the cargo hold.
This was a question that I had. Do planes have elevators? Because I don't actually know that one.
As we all know, I am a pilot. And with all the planes that I've flown, no, I do believe some of them do. Like, because you do have to go there. You have the cargo hold under the plane, and then you have the, like where all the passengers are. I know that the cargo hold is accessible from like the passenger level. I don't think it's usually an elevator. I think it's usually like a ladder.
That's what I figured. That's got to be like stairs or something. It seems like an elevator is an unnecessary amount of electronics and complications to be in an airplane.
I would imagine like there's like whatever the dickhead version of an airplane is, like the Maserati of airplanes. I'm sure that one has a fucking elevator. Look, I put a fucking elevator in it, But so they go down the elevator, and Cutman and Gutsman don't steal Rush, who's just in a dog crate.
Yeah, robot dog in a dog crate.
He's a robot dog who can fly, but he's just in a crate, and they're like, "Yeah, fuck him." And then so, this was the part I thought was so weird. There's this big metal contraption in the back of the plane, and Dr. Light and Mega Man are like, we better fucking take it, because I'm sure it's Dr. Wily's. But they're on their way to a science convention in Geneva. Like, that could have been anybody's. They just stole somebody's shit. Like,
that's exactly what I was thinking.
It turns out to be Dr. Wily, but they didn't check.
It didn't have a big old Dr. W symbol on it. It was just, they didn't ask anybody's permission. Just, no, we're taking this. This is ours now.
Fuck you, I'm taking this. It's like, dude, that's what, like, if you weren't on your way to a science convention, okay, that's very clearly Dr. Wily's thing. But, like, how did that get on the plane? That was in the fucking manifest? Big silver thing, nobody knows what the fuck it is. Yeah, that's fine. Put it in there with these robots. Or as Dr. Light says, the robots.
Robots. That whole teleporter thing. Like, I remembered it once I had said out loud, like, how the hell did they get on there? I was like, wait, wasn't there some kind of teleporter? But then the fact that they just carted that thing off, that really bugged me. Like, the fucking balls on these people.
Yeah, I'm just taking this. Fuck you.
They just took it like into the hotel, carted it in there like it was nothing.
Like, when they go into the hotel, and Rush is a very bad dog. Wait. Sorry, gotta back up before we go to the hotel. I forgot. You mentioned the crate, and I just... What the fuck is a robot dog doing in a crate? I don't know.
This is a dog that can turn into a jet.
Yeah.
And gets weirdly bigger when he does. Like, what is he going to pee on the floor? Car? Like, what is... What is...
I don't know.
I'm so curious about how did they convince him to go in? Can't they just power him down? Like, isn't that something you could just be like... They're not really talking a whole lot about free will and robots in this show. Like,
no, they're really not
talking about memory circuits and whatnot. Just flick his off switch. I get it. He's a robot dog, and he's going to do robot dog things, whatever that means. But like, put him in a crate in the fucking cargo hold. Like, but can't you make Rush briefcase or something? Like, can he also double his luggage? There's got to be something better than sticking the freaking robo-dog who can almost speak. This dog says words almost, but it's still, no, lock that shit up, throw it in the basement. Just throw it in the plane basement.
Put him in the fucking cargo hold. What's the best case scenario? United States to Geneva. It's got to be at least a 10 to 12 hour flight. We're like, fuck it. We're going to put this dog who loves us in the cargo by himself. Just fuck him. Fuck Rush. He's a bad dog. Maybe he's just a bad dog at home, too.
Maybe he is. I mean,
this was his punishment.
You were saying, he did jump that dude. Like, he was literally swinging from the chandeliers.
He is a robot. He's got to weigh a decent amount. And he just fucking tackles this poor concierge. This poor Swiss concierge is just trying to do his job, and fucking robots and dogs are coming in and obliterating his day. That's fucked up, man. Not cool. This is a weird fucking episode. And then Mega Man just carries the thing up the stairs. Like, all right, I'm just gonna lug this up to our room.
Don't use the elevator, right?
No,
the elevator on the airplane is strong enough to handle Gutsman and Cutsman. Like, both of those robots, no problem. But the hotel elevator can't handle Mega Man and this teleportation device. But okay, yeah, take the fucking stairs and then carry this enormous teleportation device that can fit Gutsman inside of it.
Yeah,
easily through not a double door. A single door into the hotel room.
That's right.
Like, absolutely no problem at all. This show did not have the perspective issues that was at Darkstalkers. That was all the weird perspective issues. Was that something else?
A lot of them have had. Yeah, I mean, Darkstalkers definitely did. A lot of these old shows, like, they just didn't. They never. They didn't read the How to Draw Comics the Marvel Way book. I don't know if you've ever seen that one. It's a very distinct, you know exactly what I'm talking about then. There's a very early in the book. It's like one of the first things they teach you. Like, I know you want to draw superheroes, but first you got to get your perspective right, you dick. And then, like, and I think those were Stan's exact words in that book.
Stan Lee, notorious for calling people dicks.
Yeah, 100%. No, he's fucking lousy with dicks. That's Stan Lee. Good God. Yeah, no, this episode was much sillier than the one we watched last year. This one just struck me as way sillier.
Which one did we watch last year? Was that the X one? No, we didn't watch the Mega Man X one.
The one we watched last year was with the little kid, and like Dr. Wily was turning all their parents into robots.
Oh, right.
Like through the amusement park.
Robotnik with him. Yeah, I remember that. Yeah, this was definitely a bit more goofy for sure.
This was just silly. Just some of the shit that happened.
So they get into this shootout outside of the hotel, and Mega Man hides behind this fountain, which again must be made of fucking vibranium, because he's hiding from what is being shot at him, the snakes and the rolling cutters. He's hiding from those things behind. No, this is Mega Man. He is made of some pretty durable shit. He's a super fighting robot. But apparently the rolling cutters bounce right off of this water fountain like it's nothing. So this fountain is made of a stronger material than Mega Man.
Yes. I mean, it is Switzerland.
True, it is Switzerland. And Mega Man is really allergic to sharp objects, as we know from the games. Step on a thumbtack, he's fucking dead.
Just done. Ba-doo-doo-doo. Fuck. Stupid Spike. It's so bad. This was like
Proto Man's a fucking dick in this show.
He really is.
He is such an ass clown. I was just the minute he starts talking, just like, what a dick. He's so smarmy.
He sounds like a 90s, and the show is 94, but like he sounds like a 90s surfer movie villain.
He kind of does.
Like the dude that shows up to harsh your buzz specifically. You know, like, I'm coming in here to fucking crash your gnarly party, man. And he's also...
Brother.
When he's dressed up as Dr. Umlaut...
Oh my God.
He's 9.5 feet tall.
And when he takes the mask off, the whole helmet is under it. He takes his mask and wig off. Like, it's a helmet. Blues can take that off, just like Mega Man. It's not his head, but he's wearing the visor, the sunglasses.
Yeah, the whole thing. That's right. It's a fucking vibe.
Rolling. That was amazing.
Yeah, you have to know it's him. Otherwise, I mean, because the red hands,
the red feet, like something's up with this guy.
No, that was totally normal. Who could that be?
Nobody wears red gloves like that.
Nobody wears red gloves. Come on. By the way, did the fucking little stinger in between the commercial breaks? The one, I don't know if it happened before Dr. Umlaut or whatever, before Mega Man was like, "Oh, Dr. Umlaut, how weird of you to call at 3 o'clock in the morning. Yes, I'll go meet you in a dark alley, you fucking moron." Jesus Christ. But before that, the little like stinger image from the commercial, there's one where Mega Man isn't wearing gloves. He's just got human colored hands. What the fuck was that? Never seen that before. I was so upset.
Oh, I remember that distinctly from watching this old cartoon. Every time it would show, it'd be like, suddenly, right, and all of those little title cards in between, the little stinger cards, they're all just slightly wrong. Like, just every single one of them is not quite on point. Not that this show in general is on point, like the art's pretty wonky. Now, granted, I do think this is a pretty big step up from Darkstalkers in terms of overall quality, but still, it's got that 90s cartoon jank that's like, we just don't have the... just don't quite have the budget to make sure this is working right all the time.
We just don't care enough to nail this. We're kind of phoning it in a little bit. Like, and that's okay. So when does Roll buff Mega Man? Like right after that battle, before Dr. Umlaut, but after the battle, like it cuts to it and she's just like sponging his back or something. It's really odd.
I don't remember. But she's
strange.
like fixing him up, right? Yeah, because he had gotten into that fight, so she was like, "You're all messed up from that fight or something." And then
he got in that fight where he took no damage.
Yeah,
he didn't get hit. Something. He stole a bus. That happened with two tourists on it.
Can't risk hurting the police, but he almost crushed them with a fucking tree.
That's right. The robot police, by the way, was just some fucking robots. That part was awesome.
But he said he couldn't risk hurting the human policeman, right? There was one human cop. He specifically called out the human that he couldn't hurt.
So he shoots the snakes at the tree, and they chomp on it, which, as we all know, snakes are wont to do, just eat tree bark constantly, as is their nature. Like, what the fuck is happening?
So they had made the switch by this point, right? Was he Snake Man at this point?
Oh, sorry, yeah. So that's the other thing. He tricks him. So Dr. Umlaut, who's Proto Man, spoilers, shows up. And they send him that it's a transporter, but also like a body swapping device.
They transported his memory chips. They just singled out the memory chips. I was impressed that they had thought that much through. Like instead of just having it be this is its secondary mutation. This is like him turning into diamonds.
Why does it do that? Because we needed it to. I don't fucking know. That's why.
But I like how they just let him go. Like, okay, now you've done this. You would probably know how to kill Snake Man more than anybody. So why not just blow him the fuck up? They're like, nah, why not? You go. No one will ever believe you.
And like every time something like that happens, I turn to Tiff because the kids have not seen the movie yet. But I turn to Tiff and I'm like, I have a gun in my room. I'll get it. We'll shoot them together. You just don't get it, do you, Scott? It's so perfect every fucking time because you're right. Like you won right there. You have Mega Man with Snake Man inside of it, and he doesn't even lisp anymore. He doesn't sound all snaky. He sounds like Mega Man, and you're just like, all right, fuck off.
Let him go. This will be fun to not watch.
Yeah,
we'll just be doing something. Just even send somebody after him to keep an eye on him. Anything. Yeah, they did absolutely. They held the door open.
Nothing.
On your way there, not Snake Man.
Deuces.
We're gonna enact our evil plans now.
That's right.
Our evil plan to kidnap and ransom a bunch of scientists so that he can raise money for his experiments.
So, I would like to, at this point in the show, I'm watching it with the kids, and I was like, because we're all like talking and making fun of it as this is how I was like, all right, everybody shut the fuck up. I was like, Roddy, you write down your thoughts on this episode and send them to me, and I will read them on the show. And right at this point, like after the tree cutting of this mega snake, because he's like, no, it's me, Mega Snake. It's me. I was like, all right, Roddy, send me your. So this is what he sent me to get his thoughts here. Wiley laughs like a dumbass. Mega Snake is in a truck for some reason, but he gets to the room where the scientists are. Mega Snake is terrible at communicating. He fell off a balcony into what appears to be a truck of shit. Snake Mega is in the room now. Snake Mega stole some kind of chip thing. Mega Snake has decided to hide in a dumpster, ? The conference is starting. Whoop, whoop. Snake Mega put the transporter in the conference, and he summoned the bitches. TM. This seems really elaborate for no reason. Just shoot Dr. Light. The bitches, TM, have kidnapped like all the scientists except Dr. Light. Roll, I think her name is really fucking stupid. Somehow they switched in the same chamber, so now no one knows who's who, except for Snake Man immediately shooting Mega Man. Now he's doing some anime bullshit. He stole the snakes. Mega Man exploded the chamber while they were in it. Did he just kill him? Why are we still doing the conference? Light has done some elaborate bullshit to jam the warpers instead of just breaking them. Personal note, I think they made this episode because one guy on the animation team just really likes Snake Man. It's like, yes, that is the perfect 15-year-old encapsulation of what this episode is.
Yeah, pretty well nailed that. I mean, Snake Man was a
Starts
regular...
doing some anime bullshit.
Yes, the anime bullshit.
Yeah, no, I know.
Snake Man was a recurring character. He would, like... It was always Guts Man and Cut Man. Like, it was always those two clowns. But, like, Snake Man was in there fairly regularly. Like, Dive Man was on there sometimes.
To be fair, my children have not seen every episode of this show.
And that is your failure as a parent.
It really is. You're right. They haven't seen Austin Powers yet, so they don't get that reference. But, I'm trying. Kris.
Only so much you can show them. Let's see here. I do like that the cops shot first and didn't ask any questions.
None just like, whatsoever. Fuck you.
Look, shoot him. Shoot at him. Right now. Do not talk. Do not say. Don't move. Just start shooting. Open fire.
He looks bad.
Mm-hmm.
So we shot him.
I was very impressed by Roll's lamp foo. She was very very astute with that lamp. Good work. Mega Man at one point said suffering cyborgs instead of suffering succotash.
Good
that
God.
Was classic.
That was good.
You got him.
Suffering cyborgs, princess. Should have gone with that one.
Who threw the hammer? Somebody threw a hammer. Oh, right. It was like a Dr. Light or someone like had the gavel and just chucked the hammer and it did not. It was nice. It still bothers me that in this show, Mega Man didn't change colors whenever he equipped a new weapon. That will always bother me.
No, because that would have been more money.
It would have been. It would have been more effort. And also, like, I also wrote down and right back to the conference. And, like, didn't they like, bag up a bunch of them and start carrying them away? Like, wasn't a whole group of people in a fucking sack, like, 3 seconds ago? And, like, well, anyway, back to business. Where were we?
That was weird. So, anyway, transistors are the future. What the fuck? Also, you're at this science conference, and you have literal amazing things happening around you, and you didn't stop and go, whoa, why are we fucking talking about the robot that shoots snakes? That's fucking wild.
Why does he do that? Why would you make the robot that's snake themed? What was its purpose?
How out of shit were you Just be honest. How you were like, I don't know, fucking Snake Man. Like, what was wrong with you?
I think he was supposed to be some sort of jungle reconnaissance robot.
I think so, yeah. They really did try at Capcom to be like, no, this totally makes sense.
And like by Mega Man 3, there was obviously some nonsense, right? We've already blown through 16-ish, 14 Robot Masters, right? 'Cause there was only 6 in the first one. Yeah. And, you know, there was a degree of evolution there. Let's see. What is the... This was created by Wily and Wright. According to the Mega Man knowledge base, Snake Man is a robot master with a snake motif created by Dr. Wily and Dr. Light to investigate narrow areas and survey topography on uninhabited planets marked for development. With his quick and lightweight body, Snake Man... Quick and lightweight body. You hear that?
That's right.
The official description says that he is fast and light. And in the show, they're like, yeah, he's slow in his body. This show is not accurate to true Mega Man lore.
To the work.
Snake Man was well suited for work on any kind of terrain. However, this caught the attention of Dr. Wily, who stole him, reprogrammed him into a combat robot, and sent him to work in order to fulfill his schemes. Snake Man is also the first robot master to have an animal-themed design. Oh, I didn't know that. I guess he is, yeah.
Yeah, I suppose he is. He's fucking cool looking.
Oh, I love Snake Man. I love his Snake Man. I love his stage. I love the music on his stage. I love Mega Man.
He's great.
Fucking masterpiece.
He's great. It's fucking awesome. But it makes no kind of sense whatsoever.
Nah, he was kind of out there.
It's just,
all right,
man.
Let's see.
This show's great for all the wrong reasons.
I very much enjoy
I do
this
enjoy
show.
it. Yeah,
it's quite stupid, but it's the fun kind of stupid. Like it's not that far off from like The Legend of Zelda in terms of its overall stupidity, but being fun. So, we ready to do our ranking here? We're ready to place this where it goes. Yeah. So for me personally, I mean, I think it's pretty clear. I don't think this reaches Legend of Zelda, but I think it's definitely above Darkstalkers.
Yeah, 100%.
So this is our second place right here.
Yeah, for sure.
All right. So we're Darkstalkers in third, Samurai's Honor, Mega Man Bot Transfer in second, and Legend of Zelda Underworld Connections in first.
Remember, kids, we are at code level Russia's Moving Pictures.
Well, I guess that means it is time for us to pick our next episode. So, let's see here. I had
the old randomizer.
wheelofnames.com.
Oh,
so let's see. I
got a sponsor.
I love that it is now. I love that it like saves my shit here. So let's see. Did it take Mega Man off? Yeah, it took Mega Man off. So we've still got a decent amount of shows that this thing could land on. Decent amount of shows that are pretty terrible. I'm pretty stoked. All right, here we go. And spin.
Do we have like music for this?
Double Dragon again.
Oh, boo hiss.
Oh, man. All right, well, Double Dragon it is. Now it's time to find out which episode we're watching. So let's see. Double Dragon. Let's go ahead and remove that from the wheel now. Remove. There we go. And let's open up the old Plexamahoo and head over to our playlist. The Cartoon Express. Oh, wait, no, we don't need the playlist. We just need Double Dragon.
Yeah.
Double Dragon. Boy, I don't know if it can possibly beat the last Double Dragon that we watched.
The virtual reality.
The virtual reality. Virtual reality bites, was that? Or something?
Yeah. It was just so accurate to how all of that works.
Really fucking wretched. All right, so.
That's how I get my internet.
And shuffle. All right, so we will be watching Double Dragon Season 1, Episode 10, Heart of the Matter.
Oh. Sounds like a good one.
Season 1, Episode 10, Heart of the Matter. All right, everybody, that is your homework. That's the next stop on the SAG Cartoon Express. Will Double Dragon will Heart of the Matter be better than the virtual reality episode? Will it defeat Samurai's Honor, or will it stink its way all the way back down to the bottom? Or will it dethrone Zelda as our number one show of the year?
Spoilers.
Seems unlikely, but
it seems highly suspect. But maybe.
You can't say no. We haven't seen it yet. We don't know.
All things are possible through Jesus. So, I just, he works in mysterious ways, Chris.
He works in mysterious ways. He does love that Double Dragon cartoon.
No, 100%. When we were talking, me and Jesus.
All right, well, that wraps up this stop on the SAG Cartoon Express. And with that, we're going to take ourselves a quick break. When we come back, we're going to talk about what's new at Stone Age Gamer and see what's going on in the world of week-old news. You're listening to the Stone Age Gamer podcast from Geekade.com. Stick around.
Super fighting robots. Mega Man.
And now here's a quick look at some of the products available now at StoneAgeGamer.com.
First up, when Retro Fighters released the Battler GC, it went over okay. Folks liked it, as tends to be the case with Retro Fighters controllers, but there were those who yearned for more. Something just a little more pro. Hence, the Battler GC Pro was born. Hall effect sensors, dual wireless technology, analog and digital triggers, it's got it all. And now, it's gotten even better. That is, if you like controllers to look super cool. Pre-orders are now open for the Battler GC Pro in Glacial, a super spiffy, clear, purple design. They're expected to ship on June 30th of this year, and you can get your order in for one right now.
I don't think I've ever heard you say the word spiffy before.
No, it's not a word I say often.
It's not, but it's a word I write often.
You do use the word spiffy quite a fair amount.
I mean, like, it's not that it happens all the time, but it's more than you'd think. It's more than a normal person uses the word spiffy.
It's more than a 40-year-old man usually uses the word spiffy.
Well, I'm not your average 40-year-old man.
That's right. You're not even 40.
I'm not. I'm
40-ish.
40 Chase.
Aren't we all?
Next up,
hate that.
Have you ever looked at the bottom of your NES and seen that little plastic cover thing? Have you ever taken it off and seen that there doesn't appear to be anything under there except for this plastic plate that looks like it could be removed if you tried hard enough? Have you ever decided to go ahead and try hard enough, pry the little plastic bit off, and find there's a freaking port under there? What does it do? How does it work? Well, after all these years, there's finally something you can do with it. The NES Hub plugs right in there and grants your NES access to Bluetooth controllers, expansion audio, and more. The NES Hub is available now, so if you want to make the most of your NES, this will help get you well on your way.
Nailed it.
Flawless. Nailed it.
That's right. I can't wait to buy one now. So good it makes you trip over your words. Finally, it's time for a coupon code. Just...
What? A coupon code?
That's right, Chris. Just for our podcast listeners. So you have to be like a regular listener. We're giving out a special... I'm giving out. It's not even the rest of them. It's me. We're giving out a special coupon code for the site. This month, in honor of that super cool episode of Mega Man we just watched, the coupon code is RUSH. All caps, RUSH. This will get you $5... It's a H. $5 off
nice
orders
callback.
Of... Thank you. $5 off orders of $30 or more. Coupon is valid until March 31st, 2025 at 11:59 p.m. Eastern Time. Sorry, West Coast listeners, but move to the East Coast. Limit one use per customer. $30 threshold is based on your order subtotal. It does not include the shipping or the taxes. It can't be combined with other coupon codes, and it does not apply to pre-ordered items. Once again, coupon code is RUSH for $5 off orders of $30 or more. Enjoy, you super fighting robots.
For all this and more other great products, blogs, videos, and more, be sure to keep your eyes on StoneAgeGamer.com. All right, everybody, we're back. We're here to talk about what's new at Stone Age Gamer. And this week, it's been an awful lot of me putting a bunch of random stuff in stock. So one of my responsibilities, one of my newer responsibilities at work has been to add new items. Not all of them. I'm not in charge of adding all new items, but, if I can help out in adding new items to the site that we get in stock, that's a big help to the people at the store. So I'm happy to do it. The list of things that I have been adding has just been random parts. Like, this is a grill cover for an Xbox 360S, and we got one. Just one.
If it
singular. We'll order a few more, but there's just one of them. Like, we got some screws in. They're a different shape from some of the screws we had before. Like, just a smattering of the randomest stuff. So that's been fun. We're also going to start taking pre-orders on the next shipment of G-Scarts and G-Comps. Theoretically, they will take considerably less time than last time. So, fingers crossed that all pans out. But that's really all that's been going on at Stone Age Gamer this week. Not a crazy week. There's been some interesting chatter and stuff in the background. Apparently, the Retro Gem, as of today, has GameCube support. I didn't really, I wasn't able to pay enough attention to that to learn about it. But I think we just, I'm not even sure.
I didn't care that much.
I'm not even sure we have the parts to do, because it just had 3DO support to it recently too. So I don't think we have the stuff to do 3DO support yet, and they're already talking about GameCube. Feeling behind the times.
It's pretty cool though.
Keep up. It is pretty cool. You gotta love it.
Yeah, I don't hate it.
That's what's new at Stone Age Gamer. So with that said, it's time to move on to my favorite segment, your favorite segment, everyone's favorite segment. Strike yourself in for Week Old News. Welcome to Week Old News, where we talk about all the news that was new a week ago. And first up, we have from Kotaku. Let's get the bad shit out of the way. Warner Brothers cancels Wonder Woman and shuts down Shadow of Mordor Studio, and I think a bunch of other studios. In fact, I think there's probably a newer story about this anyway. This is from Kotaku. On Tuesday was when this story went up. Woof. Monolith Productions revealed it was making a Wonder Woman game back in 2021. Now publisher Warner Brothers Games has announced that the project has been canned. The studio, best known for the Middle-earth Shadow of War games, is being shut down, as well as part of larger cuts. Shakeup comes after 2024's Suicide Squad bombed, and platform fighter Multiverses failed to make a comeback.
Yeah, I mean, it's not surprising,
No, not terribly.
It sucks, but again, as we've been talking about for years at this point, you can't keep having these everything can't be a gigantic, hugely expensive project.
Yeah, that's not a good way to run a business. You gotta be able to be okay with the AA.
You gotta do other stuff that's gonna be consistent and make money, and what even is Warner Brothers Games at this point?
Just a bunch of assholes.
Well, no, I mean it's Mortal Kombat.
Yeah, I guess. Yeah, it's Mortal Kombat. They ran Scribblenauts into the ground. They can't milk that any further.
No, that's done. There was some rumor a couple of weeks ago. I don't think we touched on it, that Rocksteady was getting back into just making a Batman game, but that it's going to be set in the Batman Beyond universe.
I had heard that.
That's
pretty nifty.
I am all if you can give me an Arkham style Batman game but set in Batman Beyond, yes, 100% sign me up.
That's some good cooking right there. That's the recipe. It doesn't have to be the most expensive project you've ever had in your life. You know what? Don't even make it look like the Arkham games. Make it cell shaded. Make it look like
God, that's what I want. I want it to look like that so much.
Oh my God.
Yes. Yes.
Now I'm super excited for it. I just thought of that just now. Make that shit cel-shaded. Make it look like Batman Beyond. Make it play like Arkham, but with Batman Beyond sensibilities. Oh, man.
But I mean, what a good idea. And, like, you already know how to make that game. Just do the thing you're good at, you know, like, and it doesn't, you're right, it doesn't have to be $80 billion to make it.
Yeah, you don't have to make it like the big AAA monumental 900 hours thing with crazy cinematic cutscenes and super expensive voice acting, and like you could just make a really good game. Like the first just like 2 or 3 Arkham Asylum games weren't like the biggest bank breakers of all time, and it didn't need to keep generating forever and ever. You don't have to make it into a live service. Just make the good game, sell the good game, be happy with the profits, and then make another game. Like, that worked for such... That's how Dad did it. That's how America does it.
It's worked out pretty fucking well so far.
It sure used to. It sure fucking used to.
It sure did. I mean, you can have some paid DLC, like some cosmetic stuff. That's some fine. Cosmetic stuff,
maybe an extra quest at the end, like, you know, some sort of like DLC expansion if it's super cool, like, you know, ink attacks, and oh my god, imagine fighting ink. Can you imagine how fucking cool you could have an ink battle in like a modern Batman Beyond? Oh, yeah, fucking hell!
That is Spawn Point's favorite iteration of I don't know if you caught on to that in the Discord chat, but the children changed Tiff's name. The chat that they have with chat, they changed her name in it to Spawn Point, which is fucking awesome. I love that so much, and Tiff hates that as much as she hates chat, so I'm not sure which one I'm going to go with. I'll just go with Tiff. I'll just actually use her name. She, like, her favorite iteration of Batman is Batman Beyond. She loves ink. That's, like, her favorite villain. And, oh my god, it would be so fucking cool. Like, don't do whatever that Kill the Justice League bullshit was. Do Batman Beyond. What a good fucking idea.
Yeah,
just
make
do
that shit stylish. Don't try to make it look
so
hyper realistic. Just make it look stylish. That was what was so great about Batman Beyond. Is it just did things that you couldn't, that looked cooler in that kind of animation than ever could have with some sort of live action ish hyper realistic look. It just looked so goddamn good.
It was all fucking Darwin Cook, man. That dude. God, do I miss him. Anyway, that's a podcast for another podcast, but yeah, that would be fucking crazy. And you wouldn't then have to, like, all these people wouldn't be out of a job because you wouldn't have made some stupid shit that nobody wanted.
All right, that's enough of this sadness. Let's move on to something else here.
Okay.
This is an interesting one. Push Square reports Steam Deck's install base estimated to be about a third of PS Vita.
It's really expensive.
Yeah, it's really expensive, and it is, contrary to popular belief, it is a niche product.
It is.
It's
awesome.
There is this huge want from a segment of the gaming community for the Steam Deck to be the thing that kills the Switch. They always want one platform to kill another. And, like, I've been saying since the beginning, I don't think so. I think they're after totally different audiences. And they kind of are. Like, they just kind of are. So let's see. Depending on which podcast you listen to, you may be forgiven for thinking the Steam Deck is the most important platform on the planet. But new market research from IDC estimates the handheld has shipped around 4 million units since launch, putting it at about a third of the PS Vita's lifetime total. Now so that's the second iteration. So not the PSP, not the PSP, the Vita,
but the Vita.
Yeah.
Okay.
Not a huge number, but you also have to take into consideration, like this article points out, Valve only sells this through its own storefront. There's
Right.
no retail presence. You can't buy this anywhere but Valve's website. They don't really advertise it in the general populace. You know, they're not putting TV commercials out there.
No.
It's a very different market. And
it's
there's
3 times the price of a Vita.
it's very expensive. It's got a lot of direct competition. You know, and then, you know, the fewer people have the PlayStation Portal, you know what I mean? Like, it's
Right.
I don't think the Switch is as much of a competition with the Steam Deck as all those other new, you know, handheld PCs are, because those are the
Right.
thing that we just saw a lot of that stuff coming out of CES. There's just tons of companies doing their own version of the handheld PC, and every single one of them has its own fan base that's just frothing. Positively steaming with just, this is gonna be the thing. The Switch is dead on arrival. The Switch 2, it's gonna fucking fail. And it's like, whoa, dude, settle the fuck down. Like, it's just a video game
First
system.
of all,
like, no, you don't understand. This thing's gonna murder it. And like, okay, I think it's just its own thing, right? Combined shipments of Steam Deck, Asus ROG Ally, Lenovo Legion Go, and MSI Claw at under 2 million units for 2024. So that's like 1, 2, 3, and 4 of these handheld PCs that have shipped under 2 million units. And like, that's nothing to be sad about. But it's also not. You're not hitting PlayStation and Nintendo numbers with that. You're just not, and that's okay.
Well, as someone who, again, thanks to the generosity of our listeners, now owns all 3 of those platforms, I do not in any way consider them to be competition for the other. Like,
yeah, they all
even
fill
a little
very
bit.
specific needs.
They do. Like, my Switch is my Nintendo platform. Like, that's where I play Metroid. You know, like, that's what I have it for. I have it for Nintendo stuff. My PlayStation is for Sony and third party. My Steam Deck is for PC stuff and older games, and it's for a lot of different things. And for a lot of games that just work better with that particular interface. You know, things like Papers, Please and whatnot, or things that just never came to console, which there are quite a large number of those as well. And also because of the fucking massive sales. Like,
that's true.
That's just fucking crazy. Like, not for nothing, that is not an insignificant part of what is so alluring about the Steam Deck and the Steam economy is the fact that, like, 2 weeks ago, I spent $2 and got Them's Fightin' Herds and Battletoads, and then, or like $4 for those, and then this past week I got Fightin' Rage, which is awesome. I played a little bit of it for 99 cents, and like I just bought Ultros on the Steam Deck because that was on sale for $7. Like, there's just crazy discounts on this stuff all the fucking time. You know? Mm-hmm. But again, it is a very, very different thing than the Switch or the PlayStation.
Right.
Yeah, that's weird. It's weird to, like, want other things to fail. I don't get it.
The gaming
Stop
is so
it.
big. Everybody can have their own platform. There is enough room for PlayStation, Xbox, Nintendo, and Steam.
Yep, there is.
And in television.
There definitely is.
Not in television anymore. But
no, I mean, there would have been. There definitely would have been.
If they had kept their expectations in check, I still maintain that they could have probably built an audience, not a big one, a modest audience. I don't think they even would have reached where the Atari VCS is, to be perfectly honest. But the VCS is still going. Atari has found its modest audience, and they run events and all kinds of stuff through the Discord. Like, they're in communication with their audience. They're not perfect by any stretch of the imagination. In fact, I finally got my email about getting my free Atari 50, but they just sent me the email. They just sent me the whole thing. Like, this is for the Crazy Expanded Edition. If you already bought the Standard Edition, let us know and we'll send you just the codes for the DLC. And I'm like, I have the opposite problem. I bought this on cartridge. I would like to have the digital version. If you're giving out for free anyway, I'd like to just have the digital version because I already bought the DLC and not have to put the cartridge in every time I want to play, some Atari games real quick. That would be nice to have that freedom to do so. But I haven't heard back yet since then.
Huh.
Anyways, shuffling right along. Go Nintendo reports Strictly Limited shares updates on the status of their physical Switch releases. We had talked about this in the Discord, I think, recently, about how just the general state of these boutique companies, and Strictly Limited is like so at the bottom of my list. This is the company that has a direct partnership with In Games and releases like a shitty compilation, and then like a few months later, a more complete version of those same games.
Yeah.
After they've already gotten your money from the first compilation. Like, all right, we're going to sell you 4 Wonder Boy games, and this is going to be the Wonder Boy collection. And they're like, well, 6 months later, here's 19 Wonder Boy games.
Actually, we found some more under the carpet.
Turns out we could have done this right the whole time, but we decided not to.
We decided to be fucking twats about it. Yeah.
Anyway, they put this update out about how they're trying to do better and they're trying to keep up with the demand, and they went through some sort of let's see. In a feature from Nintendo Life, Strictly Limited has now commented on a number of gripes customers have had. In a lengthy statement, the publisher has detailed why so many of their titles are yet to ship, and they've also provided concrete updates on select games. It sounds like Strictly Limited is trying to remedy the situation, but only time will tell if they can pull it off. So, I don't know, I read this thing, I didn't believe a word of it.
I was going to say, here's the thing. When a company says, we hear you and we're listening, no, they're not. No, they're not. They don't care. Especially, and here's the fucked up thing, and this is one of the huge problems that I have with this stuff, is that you've already given them your money. It's gone. You know what I mean? It's gone. Whether they ship you anything or not is entirely up to them at this point. And they don't have to. They should, for sure, because you bought a product from them, but they don't have to do it, and then they can just declare bankruptcy.
See, this company. They lost my trust ages ago with all of their multiple collections. What I was just talking about, where they'd release one and then they'd release another one through their Strictly Limited thing, and that was it's just such an unbelievably scummy move. And see, throughout the entire year of 2024, Strictly Limited announced only 3 new projects, a significant reduction compared to previous years when we introduced 15 to 20 new titles annually. This decision was made to focus on fulfilling outstanding pre-orders, optimizing projects, balancing resources, and refining our overall strategy. Of the 3 titles announced, 2 were collaborations with In, aligned with their digital release schedules. Okay, collaborations with, you're owned by the same parent company.
Right.
Stop that. This is This is all
That's fucked up.
It's all a plan. We will sell one thing, and then we will sell the same thing in a better version later to probably the same people. It is an attempt to get people to double dip, and it is fucking scummy. I don't trust these people at all.
Except it keeps working.
It keeps fucking working. I don't know if it's working so much for them anymore. I think that's why they're running damage control right now.
I mean, it did work anyway.
It did. They scammed a decent amount of money out of people, and now I think folks are wising up to it and not buying as many of their projects, so they've had to downsize what they're doing in order to catch up to the vast amount of things they haven't delivered for people yet.
Yeah.
Now I do have a similar story here.
Okay.
do I have that similar story? Where did that go? I'm going to need to grab that one, because Time Extension also posted earlier today, I think, an interview with Josh Fairhurst from Limited Run, going over all these things that Limited Run has been accused of and has been, not so much accused of, so much as just straight up called on the carpet for. Indeed. Let's see. Interview. Quote, "We've certainly made mistakes. Limited Run's boss on winning back the trust of the community."
Jesus fucking Christ.
This is from Time Extension. There were some interesting tidbits in here. He did flat out admit that the criticisms against them have been valid. So, I don't hate that. They commented on the... So here's the actual story that they posted about the NES games. So what they used to go with Retrobit for making all of their cartridges, starting with their Star Wars games.
Okay.
Unfortunately, we utilized a different manufacturer for Rugrats and Pio Pow. They were actually the publisher for Rugrats, which is why we made the decision. So, since the company that was actually publishing the Rugrats games had their own manufacturing setup, Limited Run went along with it. And they said that the games that they had sent, they played them extensively and found no issues. Upon receiving our first community report about the PCBs, we immediately began investigating and quickly determined, with the help of some friends of the community, that we needed to remanufacture these games with our usual vendor and replace them for our customers. So, I don't know, it could be corporate doublespeak. Like, there's the question I've seen floating around, like, why didn't you thoroughly inspect the boards when you before they left the door? Like, if I'm Limited Run Games and our publisher is manufacturing cartridges, I'm assuming that the publisher is assuming that responsibility. Maybe that's maybe that's ill-advised, but I kind of feel like if you're in this kind of business relationship, you're not going to be like, okay, but I don't trust your shit, so you send us these cartridges and we're going to test to make sure that you didn't do something extremely stupid in your manufacturing, right? I'm not trying to I'm not trying to white knight for this company. I'm just saying that particular thing makes a degree of sense to me. It sucks, but they've remedied it, and they're only going to be using Retrobit going forward. Even if there's another company doing the publishing, okay. That doesn't solve all of your other problems, but on that one, I'm going to give you the benefit of the doubt.
Yeah.
Time Extension then said, "We realize Limited Run has already given a statement about the 3DO CDR issue, but do you have any additional context to give on that?" This one, I don't know. I still don't buy this. It's the same. It's the same basic thing where basically says he made the game. He says one thing I wanted to correct is the allegation that I suggested duplication as a cost-saving measure and allegedly stated I was okay with shipping out a bad product. That's completely false. It never happened. Our disc manufacturer is Disc Makers, whose pricing is transparent and visible to the public. I believe strongly in the quality of our products and always do everything possible to ensure we're delivering the best possible items to our consumers. Yeah, I don't know about that, buddy.
I don't. Nope, I don't agree.
I know you want to say that. You want to believe that is the case, but you have shipped out lots of poor quality things. But back to the D discs, the 3DO discs. They said that they had test discs and they worked in their systems, so they assumed that was fine. But that's not how 3DOs work. And I refuse to believe that there's no one involved in the reproduction of a 3DO game at Limited Run Games that doesn't know there's like 35 revisions of the 3DO, and a CDR is a bad thing to sell. They will not universally work on all platforms, and they will not stand the test of time. CDRs are going to fall the fuck apart. It's what they do.
And you knew that.
Somebody had. I know he's basically claiming ignorance on that.
Then you don't get to run a company that sells it.
We learned from that mistake. We won't do it again. You're goddamn right you did.
Fucking assholes.
I cannot buy that. I cannot believe that I know enough about the 3DO to know that you can't do that. You can't. Right. I have 2 3DOs. Burned CDs work in one of them. Is there a 3DO at the limited run games universe?
Right?
Like a singular
on,
one?
Man.
Seriously? Stop that.
Come on. Just, what are you doing? That's not okay. It's just not okay. Like, and it's not to go too far down this other rabbit hole, but like, that was something that Musk said the other day. He was asked about like shutting down certain things with Doge, and he was like, look, we're going to get things wrong. You shouldn't trust me 100%, basically. And it was, well, you don't get to fucking say that. That, like, you're in charge. You don't get to be like, I fucked up. Sorry. Like, no, you don't get.
I'm going to fuck up. I'm going to ruin people's lives. I'm going to take people's jobs.
It's fine.
But I'm still going to get paid, so it's really okay.
But I'm going to learn from it. I'm going to learn
absolutely nothing. And I'm going to keep doing whatever I want because I'm the richest guy in the world.
And you're all going to keep giving me your money. Like everybody
because you don't
does
have a choice.
For these, well, but no, I mean, for these like limited game companies, if you want it physically, you're right. You don't have a choice. If you want it physically, this is what you got.
And like I've said, for the majority of things I've purchased from limited run, I have been pleased with what I've gotten.
Right.
But they gotta start doing better. Apparently, the company was founded by two guys, and so this I didn't know. Founded in 2015 by Josh Fairhurst and Douglas Bogart, the company started out publishing games created by Fairhurst's Mighty Rabbit studio before transitioning to distributing the titles of other companies. Since then, Limited Run has worked with some of the biggest names in the industry to help create unique physical releases for a wide range of modern and retro formats. And in 2022, the company was acquired by Embracer. So let's see.
Which is where shit started coming off the rails.
A little bit before that too.
Well, because the other guy left.
The other guy left, and I don't think he has much. Limited Run co-founder Douglas Bogart, who left the company in 2023, has chimed in and claimed that a, quote, cut corners culture exists within the company, something that, as you're going to see, his co-founder refutes. So, clearly this guy does not necessarily see eye to eye with his former partner anymore.
Yeah, and it's not going well between the two of them.
The cut corners culture, when you look at something like the CDRs being let out into the world for these collector's editions, that screams to me, yeah, that's a cut corners culture.
Yeah,
but then
100%.
But on other things, you don't see that. Like, their press run, their Carbon Engine releases, you don't see that. So it's multifaceted. The company's not pure evil, but they need to step up their game. They really do. The switch from what they used to do, where it was like, we have X amount of games and we're going to do a limited run and then pre-orders sell out in like 5 seconds. Like, they stopped doing that. They realized that was not a good strategy. So then they switched to the open pre-orders thing where they're like, okay, for this window of time, you can pre-order this. But unfortunately, it's going to take a while because we can't start production until we know how many we're going to need. So we have to wait until the pre-order's done to even start producing this. And that's why these things take so long. That I get. But then you run into other situations where it's like, well, now it's been 3 years. That's absurd.
Yeah, that's too long. That's too many years.
That is not okay. So, I don't run a business like that. So, well, I don't know. I'm just a guy in a chair, but as far as I can tell, they've made some steps in the right direction. They've made some very public and very stupid mistakes, and I think there is definitely some. I personally am assuming that there is some truth to the cost-cutting culture, the cut corners culture that Douglas Bogart points to. But I don't work there. I'm not them, and I'm not a millionaire. So, but
you do have eyeballs.
I do. how I'm reading our next story. Push Square reports Tetris Forever slots in 2 more games in biggest ever update on PS5 and PS4. And that's just because it's on Push Square. This was on all platforms. All platforms that have Tetris Forever got this update. And oh boy, let me tell you something. I had already handed in my write-up for the DLC, the update for Tetris Forever. And like the day after it was due, when I had handed it in, this update dropped. And I was like, well, fuck. Do I have time to rewrite this real quick?
Do I have time to update the update?
So I sat down and I messed around with this thing, and let me tell you, this update has made me really, really happy. So it didn't do. I think I talked about it a little while back how I had been in communication with them about adding difficulty levels to Tetris. Tetris Time Warp. The difficulty levels are not there. I'm still holding out hope that it'll make it into a future update, but fingers crossed. But the other things that are in Tetris Time Warp are super cool. They added the when you travel back to the Game Boy version, quote unquote, loose air quotes Game Boy version, because it's not the Game Boy version, but it is.
Right. Right.
When you time warp to that, it shrinks the playfield to the same number of blocks that was on the Game Boy screen, right? The well didn't used to be that deep as it is in modern versions of Tetris. So it actually changes to the more shallow well, which is pretty cool. The 2 games that they added, one of them was... Man, I picked the wrong friggin' post to talk about this because this breaks down absolutely nothing. There's a Go Nintendo article that breaks this down way better. Let me see if I can find it.
Pick the wrong day to stop doing amphetamines.
Pick the wrong day to stop sniffing glue.
Such a good movie.
It really is. All right,
so good.
You've got the single-player version of Tetris Time Warp. Both single and multiplayer in Tetris Time Warp got a bunch of quality-of-life updates. It's a super cool game. But what made me super excited was that they added 2 more games. The last one added Weltris. This one adds Tetris from Academy Soft from 1988. This was the last version of Tetris that was made in the Soviet Union at the Academy of Sciences.
Right.
It's fine. It's just another, DOS version of Tetris as far as I'm concerned. It's fine. It's a neat historical curiosity to have in there. I'm glad it's there, but I'm not going to put any time into it. However, what I will be putting more time into is Super Tetris. So when I read the description of Super Tetris, it's like, this was from Spectre Holobyte in 1991. It was an early attempt at creating a sequel to Tetris. It's got bombs in it. I'm like, okay, so this is an earlier version of Bombliss, but it's not. Right. So Bombliss is all over, this Tetris Forever collection because it's so it's the evolution of Tetris with having those bombs in it. But this treats the bombs very differently and in a very fun way that I really want to see more of. So whenever you clear more than one line, your next piece is made out of bombs. And each one of those will blow up a single block. So you can change your terrain on a move-by-move basis, and it's not like the block lands and all 4 bombs explode. As each row lands, you can then continue to move them and flatten out areas of your playfield or carve out different shapes in your playfield. So if you've got some place where you've had to stack 2 L blocks near each other and the only thing that will fill that gap is an I block, and you're just not going to be able to wait long enough for one of those. But if you clear with a Z space a couple of lines, then you get a handful of bombs that can come down. You can bust down those towers a little bit, and now an L block or even a Z block could fit in between those because you've cleared out that extra little bit of space. Each round starts with a whole bunch of garbage on the bottom, and you just have to play until you clear the garbage off the bottom of the screen. It is a super clever game, and I can't think of another iteration that plays quite like this one. I was really excited when I played it. It was a blast.
That's awesome.
A blast. Pun intended.
Well done.
So, yeah, I love that this is getting more updates. I am so curious what more they're going to be able to pull off, because there's some very big omissions in here, and I know they're not going to get the Nintendo ones, because Nintendo will never let NES Tetris show up on fucking PlayStation. It's just
God,
not, but
I wish they would, though.
They have a pretty solid approximation of the Game Boy one in there. and that's great. I'm glad that they've done that. It's a very solid approximation. But I want Tengen's Arcade Tetris. I want Tengen's NES Tetris. I want the CDI Tetris. Like, these are the ones they need to be going after, and I want to believe that they are. The Tengen ones confuse me, because that's Atari. I don't know how they haven't been able to just get those games up and running on those, because those are very historically important ones.
Right.
NES, Tengen, Tetris. I mean, maybe there's some sort of legal thing with just still not being allowed to sell that. Like, maybe that was a court order forever. You cannot sell this. It's toast. But I'd like to think that there's a statute of limitations on that. But even still, Atari's own arcade Tetris, like, come on, guys. That's pretty fucking important. Get that on there.
It is. Like, that whole thing is weird. I mean, I suppose...
I don't know what's stopping them. I really don't. And that's not to say that
it makes sense.
Yeah.
Right, because it was the bootleg version. Like, you probably shouldn't be able to sell that one. You know. I don't know.
The NES Tengen Tetris?
Yeah.
It's difficult to say. But that arcade one was totally legit. So,
yeah.
What the hell?
I don't know, man.
Anyways, moving on. Polygon reports everything announced at Pokemon Presents 2025. It was Pokemon Day the other day.
We
got a big fat Pokemon Presents that John was very excited about. The internet seems pretty lukewarm on. We're going to go through what Polygon points out as the interesting stuff. We've got Pokemon Champions, which looks very Pokemon Stadium to me. Like, it's just a game built around Pokemon battles, and it's releasing on Switch and mobile, so there's going to be a lot of people to play with.
Which is awesome. Yeah.
So that looks cool. We'll have to learn a lot more about it, but I think it looks like a neat thing. People liked those stadium games, so why not?
Yeah, they were fun.
We got our first look at Pokemon Legends ZA, which doesn't seem super ambitious. Like Pokemon Legends Arceus.
Doesn't have anything to do with pizza.
It really
doesn't.
And
they named it ZA. And now I'm upset.
And now I am too. I really want some pizza. Anyways, it looks neat. It's set in some sort of urban redevelopment, high-tech city or something, and what's neat about this is the real-time battling. Like, it's not strictly turn-based. You're, like, moving your Pokemon around and doing choosing these moves and going back and forth in real time. So the actual gameplay of it, I think, looks pretty interesting. I don't know. I don't know why this is on Switch. Like, this really seems like the kind of thing that, this is the kind of thing that has the ambition that Switch 2 would probably be better for, and I would like to assume there's going to be a Switch 2 version of this, but maybe they're really putting all their eggs in their basket for Generation 10. So, I mean,
maybe. Yeah. It is a little weird, but again, it could be one of those, like, even though it is Nintendo announcing it because the Switch 2 isn't fully unveiled yet, like, we're not saying Switch 2 games yet.
Yeah, it could be. This could be multi-generational. I'd like to think there will be some sort of tech upgrade for it. It doesn't look super impressive. But John thought it looked really neat.
And that's awesome. I know Roddy was pretty into it as well.
Is it Roddy or Robbie?
Roddy. We started with Robbie. We did start with Robbie.
It's Roddy. Okay, all right.
And we switched it to Roddy.
Thought I was taking cuckoo pills or something.
No. Well,
right.
I'm sure we will switch it again.
Once a month. Ronnie.
No, God, no. Rafi, I would be okay with. I was
Rocky.
why can't you just go with I was gonna if you were both born boys, you were gonna be Logan and Parker. So pick one of those. At least then I still had some say in it, right? Because it's all about me. It's all about me. It is. But anyway,
you have kids for them. You have kids for you.
That's right. Fuck, I need somebody to make me a sandwich in the morning so I can have something for lunch. I need somebody to take the trash out. No, I suppose part of it is too, though, because we know that the Switch 2 is backwards compatible. These are all Switch 2 games. If it's announced for Switch, it's announced, Like, it's not
they
a
will all
Switch
play
2
on a Switch
specific.
2.
Yeah.
But when you look at something like modern Pokemon games that look like something like a studio with a lot less money than they have put together, you can't help but want them to look like they're not held together with hopes and dreams, you know? Like,
that is fair, but they don't have to.
they don't have to.
We vote with our wallets, and we have told them it is okay to do literally whatever the fuck you want, and it's going to sell a ridiculous amount.
But this is such a non-Nintendo approach, which, you know, this is the Pokemon company. Nintendo has a stake in it, but they don't own it outright. So obviously they can do whatever they want to do. But we're seeing this exact problem with your Ubisofts and your Activisions. When you do it like this, you are cheapening the brand. Like, when you keep just pumping out instead of focusing solely on quality, right? Because you need to have that annual release so that you can make all that annual money. But you don't need all that annual money. You're Pokemon. You have plenty of money. You could just keep working on something until it's right. You know, you could put the effort in to make it really, really special. Because we're starting to see that turn now. We really are. Once they started going to the home consoles, once it was Sword and Shield, and especially Scarlet and Violet, and the prevalence of social media and YouTube videos, everyone's pointing out, look what's wrong with this. Look how this game just falls the fuck apart. Yes, the kids are still buying it and they're still loving it, but it's, you know, you're starting to see those cracks. You're starting to see the brand itself get slightly tarnished because of the lack of quality control. And it's not that the good ideas aren't there. The good ideas are there. Just the video
game brand, though.
Just the video game part of it. That's the thing.
Not Pokemon.
Right. Because not Pokemon as well. Actually, some of the animation, the animated series had gotten, you know, a lot of flack for its drop in animation quality and art quality and storytelling. Basically telling the same basic story over and over and over again. Like, you're starting to see those cracks in most areas of the Pokemon brand, which is, that's going to catch up to them eventually.
Yeah, I mean, probably at some point, but it has been around for, what are we, 20 years in now?
It has been. It's coming up on the 30th anniversary is next year.
The 30th anniversary.
Which is when we're going to get the Generation 10. It's its 30th anniversary. So it's a 30-year brand. But when you look at the way this brand started, it's in this position of, like, almost annual releases, but also, like, technologically so far behind because of the platforms it was on. The first Pokemon games, they could always be less visually impressive because they were on the Game Boy Advance or even the original black and white Game Boy. Like, it didn't...
Right.
They weren't on the same platform next to Breath of the Wild. You know what I mean?
Right.
But once they got there, once the Switch happened, they no longer had, well, we're just on 3DS, right? We're still generations behind as far as, like, we don't need high resolution graphics. This isn't an HD system. But then they had to make that jump, and all of a sudden they needed to play catch up. They needed to make sure that their game ran properly. But instead of taking the usual Nintendo route of being like, we're going to refine this simple thing, they were like, well, fuck, let's just get huge. And but then, like, okay, but you can't do this yet. You've been making games for a long time, but you've been making simple games for a long time. You're not here. Like, your skill level as developers is not here yet. And if you want it to be there, you need to start relying on other outside help. Like, get Monolith Soft to help you make your fucking Pokemon games. Nintendo had Monolith Soft help them with fucking Zelda. Like, do something like that. Get somebody who knows how to do these things to help you make your games live up to their expectations, because the world of Pokemon is so beloved, and, like, sure, good enough is, I guess, good enough, but
Yeah.
it would be so much better for your brand. You would do so much better long term if you would stop it with the annual releases, pull things back, and just do what you do well instead of doing so much.
Yeah.
There, off my soapbox.
Yeah.
I don't think anything else of like huge value was really announced during this thing. Like, there's going to be new Pokemon cards, more cards coming to the, Pokemon Unite, Pokemon Masters, Pokemon Sleep got some sort of update. The second season of the adorable Pokemon Concierge is coming out. That's cute. Yeah,
I just want more Detective Pikachu. That movie was fucking great.
That movie was pretty solid. I can't believe that movie did not do... I cannot believe that movie didn't do gangbusters. I really can't. I'm just astounded that I think that movie's box office was like... I mean, it wasn't a failure, but it was a tremendous disappointment considering it's a fucking Pokemon movie. Like...
Considering how well Sonic has done and the Mario movie, like, they've done really, really well for themselves. And it was like, oh, Pokemon, Ryan Reynolds... Pikachu, like, this is going to be fucking great. And it's, admittedly, even by Pokemon standards, it's fucking weird. Like, it's a weird concept. I get it.
It's a very strange movie, sure.
But I think it's fucking awesome. I thought it was great. But,
we had a blast with it. I thought it was really funny.
I'm not the target audience for that, I guess. But everybody that I know that likes Pokemon that has seen it also loves it.
Yeah, I don't get it. Like, it made...
I don't know anybody who was like, this was fucking dog shit. Like,
it made $429 million. What did Sonic 3 make? So $429 million versus $462 million. So yeah, I guess it didn't do that bad.
Yeah, no, it did well.
I don't know why. I remember having this thought in my head that the movie didn't perform very well.
It didn't perform up to expectations, I think, is
right.
The thing.
That must be
because you put out a Pokemon movie, you expect it to do Avengers numbers, maybe.
Yeah,
or maybe you don't.
Action,
I don't know.
It's the first live action Pokemon movie. Like, come on, guys, that's wild. And they leaned into the weird. They didn't try to make it like the thing I hate about the Sonic movie. They're like, no, man, this is a city where Pokemon and humans live together, and now Bill Nighy's going to put his brain to fucking Mewtwo. What?
It's going to be this really weird, sad scene with a Cubone for no fucking reason. It's just going to make everybody feel awkward for a bit. Yeah, I thought it was outstanding. I was all about it. Anyway.
Well, speaking of fucking weird, our last story of this segment is going to be Time Extension says, these short games mean nothing to me. Retrobit translator denies wrongdoing in baffling rant. This is outstanding. I hadn't heard about any of this before. So apparently this localizer for a Spanish localizer for Retrobit games has just been wholesale ripping off fan translations and put them in his game. I had not heard about this.
And
this
just
is
selling them.
Fascinating.
Yeah.
And like, where's the one that was particularly funny? Because this is a quote from this guy. In an attempt to explain... All right, let's see if I can get the front of this one, because this was the super wild story. This guy on Blue Sky, Crocodile, says Retrobit's translator denies any wrongdoing in a Spanish forum. His response is a whole pile of horseshit if I've ever seen one. Cherry picking, deflecting, blaming Retrobit, bad faith arguments, a lot of focus on fonts, who cares, and not the egregious stuff, just baffling. He reveals that in a case of Assault Suits Vulcan, he was unable to finish the game and lifted the translated text from the 2023 commercial Switch re-release, Assault Suits Vulcan Declassified. Given that this release was translated from scratch by an entirely different company, Rainmaker, we're not entirely sure that's legal, but the translator claims that Retrobit, quote, encouraged me to do whatever I wanted or saw fit, copying the text directly from the Switch version.
Awesome. Brazen. I respect it.
Another questionable point of defense relates to the fact that Retrobit's version of Glaylancer includes the name of the person who created the fan translation, M.I. Jet, or Midget. I don't know how you're supposed to say that.
That struck me as really funny. I don't know why. M.I. Jet. You ever see Super Troopers?
No,
Have you ever
did
seen
not.
that? Oh my god, it's John Chimpo, I think his name is. It's just really, if you've seen Super Troopers, it was very, very much of the John Chimpo. It's fucking fun. You should really watch that movie. As an aside, that movie's fucking hysterical. Anyway.
In an attempt to explain why this name is present, Merida admits in this case that he, quote, didn't have the balls to finish the translation. He says, I didn't have the balls to finish translating that before the delivery deadline. I was incapable. My company was pushing me to deliver it right away, and I couldn't seem to finish it. So at some point, after explaining this problem I was having to Retrobit, my superiors gave me permission to abort the credits translation and leave it in Japanese. And I did a copy-paste of the Japanese credits block to revert the changes. Unfortunately, I made a mistake and copied it from the Midget ROM, which I had open at the time out of sheer curiosity. I wanted to compare if there were any differences between his credit sequence and mine. It didn't occur to me to check it, and I handed in the translated ROM this way. That doesn't sound logical, but it gets more fun.
That sounds like bullshit.
That sounds like bullshit. I was looking at it purely for academic purposes. After spotting Midget's credit in the game a few weeks later, the translator realized his error, but didn't ask Retrobit to abort production for the most insane reason you could imagine. All right, here we go. Mid-Jet, M-I-D space J-E-T, J-E-T, was my first nickname from the IRC days. Yes. So Mid-Jet was my first nickname from the IRC days when I first started using MIRC on the computers in the computer lab at school. It's a nickname I chose in reference to my favorite Master System game, Shadow of the Beast, in reference to the jetpack you use to cross the cave. And the way to transcribe mid-jet in Japanese is just that, M-I-J-E-T-O. I found it funny, the reference seemed ironic, and also a way to pay a veiled tribute to the fan translator Midget, a fellow guild member, and so as to not beat around the bush any longer, I left it like that.
Nope. None of that works for me.
So you left the guy's name in there, and you're trying to say that you used to have a nickname that was close to that, so you decided to leave the guy who you ripped off's name in the translate. What?
Mm-hmm.
What?
Yeah, it's my source. Trust me.
Out fucking standing.
Yeah, I respect the balls.
Yeah. I don't respect the work, but what the hell?
I guess I just don't understand translating games and why it's so difficult or time consuming. So, like, if he's saying I didn't have the time to translate it, like I was running out of time, like, is there not, like, you don't get like a text document that you feed into a fucking translator and then go back and fix it? Like, is that not how that works?
No,
I'm completely ignorant.
That's translating. What they do is there's a difference between translating and localizing. Because when you're just translating the text, you get, like, you know, what Google coughs out, right? And that's just translating the actual words word for word. But the difference between Japanese and English is there's a lot of nuance there. When you say something and you just translate those words one for one, it's not necessarily saying, you know, getting across the same idea. So
no,
a
sure,
localization,
like I get that. Yeah.
A localization is taking that text and not reading it and changing those words to English and then trying to make sense of it. It's reading this portion, saying what is the meaning of what this is saying, and then making an English equivalent to it. So, like, that's when you wind up changing certain names of characters or something like that, being like, well, this has a bunch of L's in it or something. That's very different than the way it sounds kind of like phonetic pronunciation. That's not the meaning of it. Or this particular cultural thing makes absolutely no sense unless you live in this one specific town in Japan. So we need to change this into something else entirely. And that's like when you're doing like a shooter, that's not really that big of a deal. But when you're doing something that's story driven, like an RPG, that's a ton of work because you want to not just make it a literal translation, you wanted to make it make sense culturally speaking. Like, you have to kind of take yourself out of it and say, if you're not from Japan or even vaguely interested in Japanese culture, can this make sense? And if depending on the kind of game, you don't necessarily need to do that. Like, if it's, Japanese waifu 625, then it doesn't fucking matter. Like, you know what they're about. But if you're trying
I know what I'm here for.
You're trying to tell a story or something, that you can just translate or you can localize. And I think that's what the main. That's why that takes so long, because you can't just feed it through a thing, read the English, and then make that make sense, because that initial step of feeding it through the thing isn't going to pick up on the nuance of the Japanese language. It's just translating the words.
I don't know. It still seems like not that arduous of a process. And that is completely my ignorance speaking, and a level of cockiness that I should not have. Because like all good Americans, I speak one language. It just doesn't seem as hard as what I've heard it made out to be. But
it sounds super daunting to me. Like, localizing, that sounds super daunting to me.
Yeah, I don't know.
Anyway, I'm not going to plagiarize to do it.
No, I mean, sure. I'm not saying you should steal somebody else's work, obviously.
And claim that it was an homage to an old nickname of yours.
Oh, back in the day, back on these forums that don't exist, so you can't check to see if I'm fucking lying or not.
I used to be known as Midget.
Yeah, did you? That's awful convenient. It's like, I know we're not supposed to like Louis C.K. anymore, or I think we're not allowed to like him. I don't know. It doesn't matter. And and that's basically his line. In like one of his early stand-up specials, he's telling a joke, and he's like, so I was at a bar last night. Doesn't matter where, because I'm lying. And it's like okay, yeah, that's, it's kind of like that. Just that's mid-jet. Fuck off. Stop it.
Oh, I just realized now I totally forgot to read Cronenden's thoughts on the SAG Cartoon Express. He was the only one that gave us real feedback. So that's the end of Week Old News. I'm going to go ahead and rewind the clock a little bit here, and we're going to do
no rewind necessary. We have an editor. They just snippity snip, put that shit right back. That's right.
Evan, find a nice way of editing this back into the first part, or don't. Find a completely awkward way to edit this in, and then just leave this explanation later and make the episode make no goddamn sense.
All of that is fine.
All of that is absolutely fine. So
Kris trusts you, and I don't give a shit. So, I think it'll be great either way.
On Mega Man Bot Transfer. Yep, the theme song still slaps. Goddamn right it does. I feel like he could have come up with a better insult than Blue Dweeb. Yeah, you're right. He could have. Rush is a robot. Couldn't Dr. Light just program him to talk? Yes, he could have.
That's a very good point that we kind of glossed over earlier. Yeah, why didn't you limit him, you prick? And put him in a cage.
Dr. Wily is upset that they left the transport chamber on the plane, but how could they have taken it with them? They can't put the transport chamber in the transport chamber.
Maybe they have a bigger transport chamber. You don't know.
Somewhere the plane's like a flying building. I mean,
it really is.
Rush is acting basically exactly like my dog when I let her out of her cage.
Right up on the chandelier.
A lot of perspectives on this show are just a little bit off and tend to change scene to scene. Yep. Man, Cutman and Snake Man are terrible shots. Mega Man isn't even dodging. He's just standing there. Wait,
that was something
Rush
else.
just talked. Roll
Sorry.
earlier said she wished he could.
That was something else I pointed out to Roddy when we were watching it in Penn. They were like, he's just standing there. Why are they missing with their shot? I was like, back in the day, it's like, you ever seen Transformers and G.I. Joe? You weren't allowed to shoot people in a children's cartoon. They had to miss. That's the whole point. We thought that was real bad.
God, remember when Batman wasn't allowed to punch people on Fox?
Yeah, I do.
That shit was amazing. Because I never noticed. They were so brilliant with that. I never noticed that you never actually saw his fists make contact. It was so creatively shot, never even noticed. And then when they switched to WB, and they were suddenly allowed to show him just beating the fuck out of people, I was like,
he was just
shit.
wailing on motherfuckers. Batman, why are your knuckles so bloody?
I'm not exactly sure why Mega Man stole that bus in the first place. Is Dr. Umlaut really the only German name they can think of? Dr. Umlaut, meet me in 10 minutes. It's very important. Very secret. Very secret. Mega Man. Dr. Umlaut, are you there? So the transport chamber is both a teleportation device and a mind transfer device. I covered that one. They're just standing there laughing, but Snake Man does have a weapon. He could still have just blasted them. That's a good point. When he made the switch, Mega Man still could have just beat the fuck out of them.
Could have. Chose not to.
So that's his plan. Just kidnap the world's scientists for ransom money. I feel like there are easier ways that Dr. Wily could just make the money. Or, as I was thinking, just steal the shit that he wants.
Yeah.
He's already a criminal. Just steal the shit. You don't need the money to then go legally buy the shit. Steal the shit.
Well, no. See, in case it doesn't work, he wants to be able to return it.
Right.
Obviously.
This feels like a missed opportunity for a classic I'm Mega Man. No, I'm Mega Man gag. But Snake Man just kind of gave it away immediately. Neither Mega Man nor Snake Man is trying to hide who's really Mega Man. And the others are still like, wait, who is who? Mega Man just used Snake Man's Search Snake to chop off Cut Man's blades on his head. But Mega Man could have done that earlier when he was Snake Man. That's a good point. He waited to attack him with Snake Man's weapon after he was Mega Man with Snake Man's weapon. This one's for you. How come in the Stay Tuned screen, Mega Man suddenly has human hands? It makes me uncomfortable.
It's very uncomfortable. Also kind of turned on, but like in a weird way. Like, oh, man.
Overall, despite some expected 90s cartoon shenanigans and inconsistencies in animation and plot, I still quite enjoyed it. This isn't a good cartoon, but it's definitely enjoyable enough. Not quite to the level of Zelda cartoon, but still pretty decent. I remember as a kid waking up early on weekends to watch this. I forget what time, but definitely earlier than I would have been waking up otherwise. And then Durok Pig chimed in and said, this is easily one of the best theme songs we've heard thus far. I also find it funny that they mention they wish Rush could talk, and he literally does multiple times, including at the episode break. Mega Man's most neutralizing tactic seems to be just tripping the robot masters and pushing them over Rush. Yes, indeed. Excuse you, tablet. Shut the fuck up.
Fuck was that?
The tablet I used to gamble on. It's making noises at me like a dick.
It's telling you it's bedtime. Come on, old man.
All right, that wraps things up for Week Old News and our first segment as well. And so we're going to take ourselves a quick break. When we come back, we're going to talk about what we've been playing, talk about what's going on in our lives, wrap things up with, what were we calling it?
Oh, I said patch notes, but you said come up with something better, and I didn't.
I think we're almost there. So we're trying to come up with a name for the last segment, right? Like, it needs a name. We're going to come back with the patch notes. We're going to come back with the SAG notes, the SAG patches. I don't fucking know.
We're going to come back with it can't be the SAG bag. That's next week.
Yeah, the SAG bag's next week.
I don't know. We'll get there.
Anyway, we're going to come back and talk some more. You're listening to the Stone Age Gamer podcast from geekade.com. Stick around.
We're going to come back and say some more shit.
Hey guys, Vestlord Dean DeFalco here, and if you like when I get on the mic here, good news. I'm in other places too. The Vestlord is on YouTube, the Vestlord is on Twitch, the Vestlord is on Substack. He's everywhere you want him to be, he's everywhere you need him to be. Find all the links in the show notes, but for those who can't wait and need a taste this instant, head over to Substack, vestlord.substack.com. Check out what I'm writing over there. New articles every week, and my writing will always remain free. Till next week, muchachos y muchachas, deuces.
We are Safe at Home, the leading dog rescue in the heart of New Jersey. Are you searching for a loyal companion, a dog that will bring love and joy to your home? Look no further than Safe at Home. At Safe at Home, we believe in giving every dog a second chance. We rescue, rehabilitate, and find loving forever homes for dogs in need, right here in the Garden State. Our dogs are ready to make a lasting impact on your life. Each one has a unique story, a wagging tail, and an incredible capacity for love. When you adopt from Safe at Home, you're not just gaining a pet, you're becoming a part of our family. Our dedicated team ensures a seamless adoption process, providing ongoing support and guidance. With New Jersey's beautiful parks, beaches, and trails, you and your new furry friend will have endless opportunities for adventures and cherished memories. Safe at Home relies on the support of compassionate individuals like you. Your donations and volunteer work enable us to continue saving lives and finding forever homes for these amazing dogs. Join us in creating a safer, happier community for dogs in New Jersey. Together we can make a difference and give every dog the chance to feel safe at home. Visit our website or call us now to learn about how you can be a part of the Safe at Home mission. Safe at Home, because every dog deserves to be loved and protected. www.safeathomerescue.org.
Hey, I'm Ryan.
And I'm Andy. Neither of us are David Crane, but we are the hosts of David Crane's Amazing Movie Time.
That's our monthly Geekade Patreon exclusive podcast that covers movies that are cult classics, weird, or just sometimes laughably bad.
We ourselves have at least two of those qualities, so I guess it makes sense to hear what we think of those movies in retrospect.
You can hear all that and more by becoming a Geekade Patreon supporter.
And, as always, be kind, rewind.
Do you enjoy the Stone Age Gamer podcast and other shows on the Geekade Podcast Network? Do you wish you could listen to them sooner than the regular unwashed masses? Do you wish you could contribute in some way? Well, then you should check out the Geekade Patreon. Yes, the Geekade Patreon is a wonderful and very much appreciated way for you to help us pay the bills and keep our shows running week after week. As a Geekade patron, you'll get a monthly podcast topic schedule and early access to nearly every show on the Geekade Podcast Network, as well as access to a patron-exclusive monthly show called DC's Amazing Movie Time from the creators of the Weekend Rental podcast. So head on over to patreon.com/geekade and become a loved and appreciated member of the Geekade Patreon team and get early access to shows like the Stone Age Gamer podcast, this week's episode, Turning Tracks, and a whole lot more. See you there. All right, we are back, and it's time for the patch notes. It's not bad. It's not bad. I just feel like there's going to be something a little sexier somewhere, but I don't know what that is.
It makes sense, but like I don't know. We'll get there.
It's not catchy. It's not.
No, it's not.
Yeah.
It doesn't have our usual pizzazz.
Our usual pizzazz.
There you go. That's what it's called. We're coming back with the usual pizzazz. And for this show,
boy.
that makes just as much sense as any of the other shit that we say.
Indeed.
Oh, goodness gracious. So do you
So
want
what's-
the update? You want me to...
I want the update. Hit me with the update, because I've got a lot to cover in personal life shenanigans. This has been one fuck of a week, but you go first. What's cooking in your bloodstream, Dan?
So the answer is I don't know. So last week I got the PET scan late in the day and wasn't able to get the results by the time we recorded. I got those results back on Monday, and so there's good news and potentially bad news, which would then lead to potentially upsetting news. But not as dramatic as that makes it sound. Okay, so the good news is, when we started this process, I was at stage 4 classic Hodgkin's lymphoma, right? That was the official diagnosis. And the reason it was stage 4 was because it was on the left and right sides of my body, so left and right side of the sternum, and above and below the waist. Plus, it had moved from the lymphatic system into my bones, which isn't great, right? That's obviously not what you want. Stage 4 is always scary. It's not as scary as like stage 4 lung cancer, that sort of thing. But stage 4 lymphoma is still serious. So the scan came back, and it shows that everything is gone, except for one tiny spot in my neck.
I thought you were going to say forearm.
No, right? That would have made sense. Yeah, everywhere but the fucking forearm. Those are lighting up like a Christmas tree.
You're basically Popeye. Gotcha.
Right at this point, just giant fucking tumors. It's fucked up. No, so like that is incredible, outstanding news. What was there on the first PET scan and the second PET scan is gone. This one little thing that popped up as I'm looking at it with the doctor this morning, Tiff and I are there, and we're going over it. He's like, I just don't know what it is. He said, I can't, like he did an exam and he was like, I can't feel anything in your neck. And it's on the left side of the neck. He was like, it could be so many things at this point. It could simply be that you have a little bit of an infection, like a virus kind of thing or a bacteria kind of thing. And when you got the PET scan, that's where it's showing up. Like it could be so many different things. He was like, so what we're going to do, because the rest of it is all good news. What we're going to do is we're just going to play it safe and we're going to biopsy that lymph node, that little chain right there. So I'm getting that scheduled hopefully for this week upcoming, which will be last week. If you're listening to this next Friday, which will be currently on Friday, if you're whatever the fuck. I'm trying from the day we're recording on February 28th. I'm trying to get it scheduled for early, the first week in March. Because they obviously want, if it is cancerous, which he was really unsure. He was like, I don't think it is. It doesn't make sense that it would be, but cancer's weird like that, and chemo's weird like that. Like I said with the forearm hair coming out, he was like, yeah, that's fucking weird. So trying to get the biopsy scheduled, and then we'll go from there. If it's not cancerous, then great. We're in the clear for now, and we're in the monitoring stage before we can say cured. We're in remission and we're monitoring. If it is cancerous, there are a couple of different avenues that we then could potentially go down. There could be another cycle or two of chemo to go through. The worst possible outcome for me personally would be to have to undergo a blood transfusion, which the shitty thing about, like, the really shitty part about that is that if that is the treatment that is prescribed, like if that's the plan that we go with, I'm going to be hospitalized for 3 weeks. Not because I will be sick, but because when you get a major transfusion like that, you have to be constantly monitored in a way that you just can't do from home, right? So the prospect of having to live in a hospital for 3 weeks is not, I don't fucking want to. You know what I mean? Like, I don't want to die, obviously, so I will do it if I have to, but that is my literal fucking nightmare. You know, for somebody like me who does not like to stay in one spot for very long, like even at the house, I'm up, I'm trying to move around, I'm doing stuff. The idea that I will live in a room in a hospital for 3 weeks, is just, I can't imagine anything. I would rather do more chemo. Honestly, I would. Even with as shitty as I felt, at least I wasn't sitting in a hospital for 3 weeks. You know, like that just, I really, really, really don't want to do that. But if that's what it comes to, that's what it comes to. What will really suck about it, you know, I'll miss the podcast for a couple of weeks. It inconveniences people at work yet again, which is really just some me shit. You know, like as I was talking to the doctor, he was like, well, you know, do you need some of our people to like talk to your job and advocate for you and all of those things, like legally and medically and all that? I was like, absolutely not. Everybody that I work with has been like, dude, you have cancer. It's really okay if you're going to be late tomorrow because you're going to the doctor's office. And I'm like, yeah, no, I know, but I don't ever want to put people in a position where, like, I don't want you to think I'm ever taking advantage of it. You know what I mean? Like, oh, I also stopped to get breakfast on the way because, you know, I'm sick. You know, like, I don't want to fucking be that guy. It's just not me. But again, I recognize that that's some me shit. The other, like, the more serious implication is that through my job, I get paid days off, right? Like everybody else. I have paid days that I can use. I am out of those paid days. So I can still call out sick, but I'm not going to get paid for them. And missing 3 weeks of work, as I'm sure literally every person listening to this podcast can imagine, is not financially sustainable.
No, not so much.
Like, because it's also not like I could just file for unemployment for 3 weeks. You know, like that money is just gone. Right. And that is like missing one of my paychecks is crippling, as it is for everybody else. Right. Like, I'm not special in that regard. Like, we're all just kind of scrimping and saving to get by. Missing a paycheck and a half is just really going to fuck things up. So I'm really, really, really just hopeful that we do not end up going down that road. If we do, we'll figure it out. You know what I mean?
Right. As you always do.
As we do, you know, as anybody in this position does. So, like, you know, really, really good news. Like, really, really good news. We got everything that was there, but there's this one little, like, 1 centimeter big thing. Like, it's not even very big, you know. But it's there. That's the fucking thing. It's there. So it's like, all right, you know, fuck. Because I wanted to be able to come on this week, obviously not just for our listeners and for you and for everybody, you know, but obviously I wanted to come on this week and be like, I'm good. We got it. Everything's fucking great, but we're not quite there yet. We're like 96% of the way there. And I don't want to go through chemo again. My facial hair just started coming back in. My eyebrows, I got peach fuzz where my eyebrows are supposed to be right now, which is fucking weirdly exciting. The fake tits that I've been growing from all the steroids are receding. That was a fun thing. So the doctor's the assistant, when she comes in, she's great. I'm not going to say her name just because that feels weird to use her actual name. But she's awesome, and she's been like super supportive. She's right around our age. She's just been great. In fact, like when we first went in, the very first appointment we had, because I didn't get dressed up to go to the doctor's. I had like an MXPX t-shirt on, and she was like, "Oh my God, I fucking love MXPX. They're so cool." And I was like, "You're awesome. I'm happy you're going to be a part of the team, whatever." As we're talking, the doctor was like, "Have you had any symptoms or whatever?" I mean, and I was like, I've had a little bit of like what I think is a night sweat, a couple of times. And he was like, "So like you've had to wake up and like change your clothes and change the sheets?" And I was like, "Oh God, no, nothing like that." I was like, "It's just gotten a little sweaty in between these new tits I've grown." And the look on her face when that's what I said to the doctor was almost worth having to go through all of this. It was just fucking priceless. But like it's, things are like I'm progressing. I'm feeling more like myself, and I don't want to be going backwards, but yeah, we'll kind of see, like I said, I'm eternally hopeful that this is going to come out and they're going to be like, "Oh yeah, no, it was whatever, It was
a
grit.
Dorito.
Yeah. We found a piece of grit. Fuck. Sorry. There was, dirt in the
Smudge
system.
on the lens.
Yeah, exactly. Is that what it's going to be? Probably not, right? How fucking lucky would I have to be at that point? But yeah, so like, it's a really weird like limbo to continue to be in, at the one point being so excited that the treatment was so successful. To go from stage 4 to nothing in 6 months is huge. That's a testament to research and science and doctors, and like we should be funding these things and all of that. But there's still something there. So fuck. Okay. Let's find out what it is.
Well,
so that's where we're at.
Testament to your own resilience as well. It's, credit
I mean, sure. I don't know. I don't feel like I've done anything other than just sit. But I suppose there is part of that too, and positive attitude and all of those things. And I've also I was able to play some video games this week. I was able to dress myself every day this week, like button my shirts for work on my own. The feeling is coming back in my hand. I still can't play guitar. That's been something that I kind of test every couple of days of like, okay, can I, and what I'm testing, it's probably not the best thing to test it with, to be like, I'm back, but I can't play Blackbird by the Beatles yet. I mean, I could play it before. It's not like I'm learning it now, but it's a finger picking thing, and I can't quite do that yet. But it was better this week than it was the week before. So I'm, just kind of constantly trying to work through that. Cause like I said a couple weeks ago, we're not going to officially start any sort of physical therapy if I'm going to be going through chemo again,
Right.
So I'm just kind of doing my own thing to try and get my hands, and my feet really back to a level that I'm comfortable with. Trying to play Blackbird with your feet, very difficult, but I'm getting there. I'm going to make TikToks and YouTube videos about it. It's going to be great.
That'll bring in the cash.
Certainly will. Feet videos and playing the Beatles? Fuck, dude. hairless man feet.
Oh, Jesus. Jeez. Half stocked right now just thinking about it.
Oh, Jesus, right? You know, 6 to midnight.
Oh, Jesus.
Yeah. Yeah. So, I mean, you know, it's weird, man. Like, you know, like I said, like I've said this whole time, I don't want anybody to think that I'm not taking it seriously. I'm obviously very aware of how serious all of this is. And I truly am eternally grateful for everybody's love and continued support and all of those things, especially the doctors. I can't. It was fun today. So he always like whenever he wants to check under my arms. And this is why I like this guy, right? Because you know you have to like check under the arms and like the neck and all that stuff. He's like, all right, arms up. You know, and he did that today, and like I went in and gave him a hug, and he was like, "Oh, are we there?" And I was like, "Yeah, I think we are." He was like, "I wasn't coming in for a hug. I was coming in to tickle you." And I was like, "Oh, don't fucking threaten me. The girls are in here, doc." You know, like that's the kind of relationship that I have with my doctor, which I don't think is surprising, considering it's me. You know, that the doctor was then sexually harassing me in front of people today. But yeah, it's just like I'm eternally grateful for everyone and you know, happy that this continues to like help people and get them through things and you know, sad reality of the fucking world that we live in with just the way things go. You know, I know that this is going to help somebody in the future as well. And I'm happy to be able to do that for people. I would just like it to be over at some point.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's where we're at.
Well, you know, like you said, it's not all terrible news. It's not the best of all possible news. You know, it's not like they looked in there and there was like, there's some sort of lump there. What is that? It's it's $5 million. Congratulations.
Oh, son of a bitch. That's awesome.
Yes. Fucking finally.
God, that's where I kept it. Fuck.
But, you know, as always, thank you for the updates. We're all rooting for you, whatnot.
Yeah, man.
I hope you don't have to
getting there.
Get a transfusion.
Yeah, the 3 weeks in the hospital sounds just fucking wretched.
That sounds dreadful. That sounds pretty low on my list of things that I would ever want to do as well.
Yeah. And the fucked up thing was, as we're walking out, Tiff goes, "Man, 3 weeks in the hospital sounds great." And I was like, "What the fuck is wrong with you?" She was like, "No, think about it. Like, people are just going to come, like, fluff your pillows and bring you Jell-O, and, like, nothing is your responsibility for those 3 weeks." And I was like, that is my fucking nightmare. You know? I get it. For some people, that sounds awesome. Like, I just get to go be in a pillow and people come, like, put leg squeezy things on me so I don't fucking atrophy. That sounds ideal. But I'm like, fuck, man. No.
That part of it sounds kind of nice to me. It's the, having to eat, their food is, that's the part that really, like, 3 weeks of hospital food. That's the nightmare to me. That I don't know that I could take. No. I would die. I would just vomit constantly. And
not
then
super
die.
into it. Not super into it. But,
times.
What do you got going on?
Well, I got a bunch going on, man. Definitely not to the level of what you've got cooking, but this week's been a rough week on a lot of levels. So Karen went in for a colonoscopy today.
Right.
So this week has been prepping for a colonoscopy, which, if you've ever done, is a very unpleasant experience.
Lots of anal. Yeah. No, I'm aware.
I mean, not in.
You want to get everything nice and loose in there, from what I understand. At least that's what I was told in college, and that's what I went with.
The last day of like solid foods, just drinking chicken broth and eating lemon Jell-O. She's pretty goddamn miserable, and like, who's going to blame her for that? But little little story about Karen is that she lost her dad to colon cancer, which is why we did the Pain in the Ass-a-thon years ago. It was, dedicated to her dad. A fun little joke. Pain in the ass. Ha ha. Colon cancer. So naturally, she, gets a little in her head when I'm going in for a colonoscopy. I'm just generally scared that I'm going to go in, they're going to find something.
Of course.
They didn't find nothing. They found something that they couldn't necessarily identify, that the doctor said there's a 95% chance that it's benign. We'll let you know as soon as the results come in next week. Right. So naturally, it's 100% cancer, and I'm going to die.
Of course. Even though that 5% chance is so small compared to the 95% chance that it's not, you focus on the 5%.
Of course, this is how she lost her dad. There's no way she's not going to feel that way, and
of course,
but so following up this week of just kind of nonsense of not being able to eat what she wants to eat, getting progressively worse as the week goes on, as it gets closer to the actual colonoscopy,
right?
And then following up with this, she's not in the greatest of headspaces, and that's not fun. And I don't mean that like it's a chore for me. It's not fun. It's like it's just you don't like seeing her.
That fucking
like that.
sucks.
It sucks.
It sucks.
So
speaking from experience, this fucking limbo place is a terrible place to be.
It's not a good time. It's just not. Cancer is fucking terrible, and I hope it's nothing. I'm sure it's nothing. But,
right.
There is that 5% chance that it's not, and that sucks.
Yeah.
So that's been her week, which means that she hasn't really been available to help me out with my week, which has been also kind of interesting. So I think I talked about on the show last week that I mentioned that was it on the show I was talking about the city council thing, or was that off the show? I can't remember.
I think you said it on the show.
Yeah. So I had this meeting with our previous mayor. She came over to my house to presumably talk me into running for city council.
Right.
And also to talk about how I can possibly help our local Democratic club or committee or whatever the hell it's called, or our local Democrat chapter with their, let's just say, abysmal social media presence.
Yeah.
So she gets to my house, and the first hour is, I don't get a word in edgewise. She's just complaining about everything that the Republicans are doing. Now,
sure.
Don't get me wrong. It's very interesting. It's like, we're talking like scuttlebutt, like the drama of like this guy said this, and then this guy.
You're down in the weeds now.
I'm like, this is all fascinating stuff, but I got to go get my kids in a half an hour, and we haven't talked about anything that's convincing me. Like, I still don't know what this job is. Like,
right.
You got to talk to me like I'm a toddler. What is a city councilor? I don't fucking know.
Right.
So the other woman that used to be a city councilor, she didn't make it to the meeting. She had something going on with her mom. So it was just the previous mayor. And she didn't have a whole lot to say that seemed like, here's how your actual life is going to go, right? Like, this is what it means on a day-to-day basis. She's like, this is what it pays. I'm like, oh, fuck, it pays? All right.
Yeah.
And
a little bit,
just a little. And you'll get this, and you'll answer some questions, and there'll be some meetings. I'm like, okay, but like, how many meetings? When? What time? What kind of commitment am I making outside of these meetings? Like, tell me what it's like to be a city councilor before I consider running for this.
Right.
I didn't get that much information out of it. However, I did talk the social media stuff with her, and that went extraordinarily well. I think I can be very, very helpful in that department. Just as far as I'm concerned, what the social media of the local Democratic Party, and look, I have to assume if you're listening to this show, you're probably not a big Trump supporter, because if you are, you probably hate us. because we've
Yeah,
not
I was gonna
exactly
say,
been
we're-
super
No.
kind.
No. Or subtle.
Or subtle. But it is my opinion that a lot of what our community needs is ways for people to get involved. Like,
Yeah.
I'm noticing with the people around me that there's this general sense of unrest, but also absolutely no idea where to begin. Like, who do you talk to? Like, when are city council meetings? Where are city council meetings? Like, is anybody doing anything? What can I do? I don't know. So somebody needs to make that information known. And you would think that the social media of the local Democrat Party would be like, every time there's a meeting, this meeting is happening at this place at this time, go there. Or every time we do something, we did this today, here's a picture of it. You know, just
You would think.
something you would think. And that's not anywhere. And most
Which
of
is
their
nuts.
and I'm not, this is a ballpark, but it's also not an exaggeration, right? I'm not inflating this number. I truly
Right.
believe that approximately 90 to 95% of the posts on their Facebook page are just wishing the members happy birthdays.
Yeah, that's not going to get it done.
This does nothing. This is of no value to anyone wanting to be involved in this. Like,
Nope.
it's of zero value. And the last one was in like October. Like, come on. So I feel that I could be very useful in that regard. I'm
Yeah.
not sure about the city council thing. So I need to talk to somebody else. There was a previous city councilor who did some extraordinary stuff for our area. This guy's name was Caleb, and he did. I won't say his whole name. I don't know, because I'll explain why in a minute. He's also a school teacher at Ellie's school, and I see him every day. Like, when he's teaches the same grade that she's in, they come out the same exit. So when his class comes out, he's standing outside. So I see him, and we know each other from when he was running for city council and stuff. And he knows Karen because she's been involved in local politics and stuff. So I'm like, well, he was a city councilor. He lost re-election and fucked all the way off.
Right.
He didn't stick around for any committees. He didn't stick around for anything. He is not involved at all anymore. And like, this dude did some serious work. He set up all these great local events, like, you know, movies in the park and, you know, scavenger hunts around town, the raiding the Halloween houses and stuff like that, going around and, you know, secret trick-or-treating and stuff. He did all these community events. He spearheaded all of these great initiatives for that kind of stuff that really brings the community together. And all of that stuff has disappeared without him.
Shocking.
So I went to go talk to him. It's like, the previous mayor wants me to run for city council. Why shouldn't I do this? Because
Why is this a bad fucking idea?
I'm kind of leaning towards, well, I should do something, right? This seems like something I can do. I should probably do that. So his answer was, how much time do you have? He said,
none.
He said, this was the worst 4 years of my life.
Oof.
He said, all he wanted to do was the things that he was doing. Nice things for the community, to have events and bring the community together. And that's what he did. But every step of the way, the opposition was making his life miserable. Contacting his family, his personal Facebook pages, doing all kinds of personal attacks on him, following him around, everything. They made his personal life a nightmare because he had a D next to his name. He was doing things that were just universally good. Throwing a concert in the park, right? Like, just doing things that is nice for the people in the area. That was what he was doing. But didn't matter. He had a D next to his name. He was the fucking enemy. And it just it ruined his mental health. It just put stress on every member of his family. That they were going after his kids. Like, nothing was off limits. They made his life hell for 4 years. And he said, I can't do it. I just can't. I'm a school teacher. And I'm the enemy. I'm taking care of like third graders, and I'm the enemy. I just can't do it. Just can't do it.
Yeah,
and
which is just crazy.
It's
crazy,
appalling. Just totally disgusting to me, and it's something that I hadn't quite considered. I considered standing up for myself. So as he's telling me this,
when you do, you're putting everybody out there.
Everybody is in the line of fire. So as he's telling me this, two things are rattling around my brain. Thing number one, well, that seals it. I'm not doing this. I'm already stretched so thin, I can't do this. And the other thing that's floating around in my head is this town's run by bullies, and I hate bullies. And this is how bullies win.
Yeah.
Because if nobody stands up to them, they get away with it. So my week since that meeting has been just rolling back and forth and talking to the people whose opinions I care about what I should do. And, you're the last stop. I knew I was talking to you today. So I was like, I've already talked to, I've talked to Karen a little bit, but she's been just like, I'm sorry, I need to spend the next 3 hours in the bathroom. We'll talk about this later. That's fine. You got shit going on, and I mean that literally. You do you. But I've talked to my closest friends, and I've gotten their opinions on it, and they've all been fairly unanimous. Given everything that I've just told you, what do you think?
Well, I wasn't listening.
Shit. You talking to me this whole time?
God damn, I thought you were talking to Mike.
He's
on the show right now, right? Yeah, fuck. Hi, Dean.
He's been here the whole time.
So, I think I mentioned before that the reason I didn't run for anything higher than what I had in Medford when I lived there was because of what would have been brought up at the time with family relationships. Because of my brother-in-law, my sister-in-law, and the shady shit that they were doing with their business in New Jersey, and the fact that Tiff was working for them at the time, I knew what the Republicans were going to do, because it was the same kind of thing, like you're saying with what the rumors and the scuttlebutt. We would have Democratic committee meetings, and there would be legitimately, we would have to lock the doors of the public spaces we were in and call the police because there would be Republican operatives coming and screaming and threatening people and banging on doors. And none of us ever went and did that at their meetings. It was only that one side that did it. So at that time, it was like, man, I'm not even going to bother to run because I know what's coming,
Yeah.
And talking it over with the people there, it was like, this is what's going to come up. And they were like, all right, let's not move forward. Now, your kids are young enough to where they should be a little bit safer. But they're still going to get attacked. And
they're safe. They're not safe from the other kids in their class. And I've seen the cars that those kids get out of. Those kids are also Trumpers.
They're not. They're definitely not. And everything in your past, literally everything in your past, is going to be brought up. Right? Or let me say, the potential is there for that to be brought up. And it would be my suggestion that if they are still comfortable with it, that you should absolutely do it. Because that's how they fucking win. Exactly what you just said. That is how, and this is beyond politics, right? That's how bullies win. Is when the rest of us go, he's not talking to me. You're not coming after me, so I don't care. Until eventually they do come for you. Yeah, because eventually they're fucking coming. Bullies are coming for everybody at some point. And the only way to stop it is to try and do something, Mm-hmm. And that's really all it is. Because as long, at least what I've found, and I can only speak for me personally, but I am not ashamed or embarrassed about anything that has happened in my life. Choices that I have made, things that I have done, financial decisions that have fucked us up entirely. I have filed bankruptcy. I'm not embarrassed by that. I was raised by fucking idiots who didn't teach me how to manage money. I didn't fucking know how to do shit and got way in over my head. And they were like, yeah, just keep doing, well, you're fine. And then all of a sudden it was not fine. I got a phone call from Tiff one day while I was at work, and she was like, so somebody's here to repossess the car. Okay. Give him the keys. Don't make it harder on him. He's just out there doing a job. You know what I mean? It is what it is. These things happen. I'm not fucking embarrassed by it. Shit happens. So there's nothing really that could be brought up against me, where I'd be like, oh no, I said a fucking thing. Oh, I'm so but that's me. You have to figure out if you're comfortable with it and your family's got your back no matter what, then fuck them. What are they going to say? What are they going to say? It's just words at the end of the day. I think you should do it.
Well, you definitely have a different opinion than everybody else I've spoken to.
I figured I would. It's hard, man. It's hard.
It starts with it usually started with I agree with you on the bully thing. But then I talk myself out of it with the fact that I'm not doing nothing.
Right.
Am I going, it is me. I've been involved for a couple of months now, jumping straight into a campaign to be a city council member with absolutely no experience or even knowing what a city councilor is.
Sure,
I can physically do that. I don't know. I still don't really have a great feeling on what the cost is. Right. And if the cost is doing damage to me and my family, is that worth it to me? But also, I'm not currently doing nothing.
Right.
Taking over our social media and helping get the message out that's something I can do. That's something I'm good at. I can do that. And going to the meetings and being on the action committee and trying to decide what the messaging is and what we are actually going to do instead of just complaining about what the other people are doing. Right. Or figuring out what we can give people to vote for instead of just telling them what to vote against is not doing nothing.
It's not even a little bit.
And
you are doing more than most.
Exactly. So where I've wound up when I keep having this conversation with people, we always wind up in that similar position of you're not saying you're never going to run for city council. Right. But maybe right now it's not the smartest thing to do. And that's infuriating because I hate bullies. Mm-hmm. And this town is being currently run by bullies. Our mayor, Tommy Marone, is a fucking bully.
Yeah.
And that is utterly infuriating to me. But I also, we've talked about with other things like with Geekade in the past, I need to know my limits.
Sure.
And there's only so much that I can do. And I know that I can talk. It's one of the things I'm good at is talking.
That is true.
And, if I don't do it now, there's every possibility there won't be an opportunity to do it in the future. Like, it's entirely possible there won't be elections in the future. Like, we don't know what's coming. We don't know how bad it's going to be. So we should do everything we can right now. But I also have to take into consideration, can I? I am stretched. One of my friends told me I'm stretched really thin right now. I work like 3 jobs. I host 30 podcasts. I'm stretched really thin. I get up in the morning. I go to the gym. I work. I take the kids to school. I come back home. I work. I eat lunch. I work. I pick the kids up from school. I work. I do chores. I make dinner. I clean up dinner. Then I put the kids to bed. Then I get maybe 45 minutes of actually sitting down before I go to bed and do it all over again. I'm stretched crazy thin. And that's on nights where I don't have a podcast.
Right.
I have the weekends. Like, that's what I have. And even them, those are dedicated to so much choring. So do I stop doing
laundry
other things?
And
like
stuff.
Yeah. Using my Steam mop, which fucking rules.
Yeah.
Thing's awesome. So do I quit doing podcasts? Like, do I take that piece of joy out of my life to dedicate to fighting these fucking bullies? Or is doing social media and improving our message and maybe trying to find somebody who's better equipped to do this than I am the right move? Or is it the wrong move to wait to find somebody who's better equipped? And just because I won't physically die by making myself do it, does it mean that I should do it?
Well, and that unfortunately is just an unanswerable question. And that's kind of the reality of these things, right? What's the right move? Fuck, man. I don't know. I don't know. I think you should do it because I think you'd be good at it. Like that, taking the logistics of it aside, which are not unimportant, and are probably even more important, arguably, right? The logistics of it. Should you do it? I think you're the type of person who should do it because you give a shit, because your heart is in the right place. You should do it for all the reasons that anybody should want to be involved in public service, and that's more like where I'm coming from. Like, even understanding the fact that, like, you, silly goose that you are, do this shit under your real name. So, like, if they go looking for you and they find this podcast, well, then that opens me up too. And I'm all right with that. You know what I mean? Like, I'm okay with that. It's partially why I don't do it under my own name, because, whatever, but it is what it is. Like, and my level of shame just doesn't really exist. Logistically, you might not be able to do it. And that's also okay. That is okay. You can only do what you can do. Yeah. At a certain point, I grew up idolizing all of these, like, superhero type characters, but I'm not Steve Rogers. You know what I mean? Like, no, sure. I'm also, most of those characters that get Tony
into
Stark
those situations,
built this in a cave out of scraps. I'm not Tony Stark.
But when Tony Stark did stuff, when Steve Rogers did stuff, when Spider-Man did stuff, they weren't married with kids, No, it's different. It is. It is different. They're, it's the ideals are there, but trying to figure out how to, I'm no good to my family dead.
No, certainly. I don't know. How big's your life insurance policy? Might be all right to them. Oh, okay. Then no,
they
definitely
can sell
not.
my video game collection. That's my life insurance policy.
I mean, that's not nothing. There's a decent amount there.
But it's still work.
Yeah. No, I know. I'll come do it for him. It's fine. I am keeping a copy of Castlevania, though. I need one. I have 2 and 3. I'm still missing the first one. Anyway.
I'll complete the trilogy for you.
Yeah, thank you. I appreciate it.
Mike gets my Castlevania Chronicles, though.
Your death will not be in vain. Oh, I have that. I don't need that. I'm good. He can have mine. Fuck it. I'll take yours. He can have mine. Mine's not complete in box. No, like that. If you want my honest opinion, that is my honest opinion. I think you should do it. I understand you might not be able to do it, but that's not what you asked me.
Yeah. Well, there you go.
Those are two different questions.
In that case, I do agree with. I mean, are they two different questions? I mean,
they are.
Should I do it if I'm unable to do it? I kind of feel like should I do that fits in the category of, well, you shouldn't do it if you can't do it.
Well, but again, I can't tell you if there's a way to make it work.
Right.
As much as I know your life and your situation and things that you don't even bring up on the show, you know, as much as I know all of that, I can't tell you if you can make it fit. Because yes, there are ways to make it fit. Like, that's the honest answer. Are there ways to make time for it? 100%. There are.
Absolutely. Are those
things worth it?
Yeah.
That's, again, a different question. You know?
Yeah. And if I think about it logically, on one hand, it gives my kids something to be proud of me for. But on the other hand, is it going to make me a worse dad to them? Like, am I going to be more exhausted, less capable of spending real time with them and laughing with them and doing the things that we do that give us the relationship that we have? If I'm less capable to do those things, that makes me a worse dad. It doesn't make me a worse citizen per se, but
I don't know that makes you a worse dad. You know, the answer to that question is like, will you have less for that? Yes, you will. Does that make you a worse dad? I don't know. I don't think so. You know, but I don't think, and maybe this isn't the right way to phrase it, but I don't think your relationship with your family is so superficial that sacrifice would go misunderstood. Now, again, your kids are younger, so right now it might go misunderstood.
I think it's a pretty easy misunderstanding to make. I know it's a misunderstanding
right
that
now, yes.
My sister, I don't think she still has ever gotten over my dad dedicating so much of his life to college so that he could have a good enough job to pay our fucking bills. I understood it when I was a kid. I got it completely. He's got to do this so that we can eat. But my sister always viewed it as he'd rather be doing this than spending time with me. And
sure,
I think that's more of a reflection on her than anything else, but
yeah.
I don't know for sure. I'm definitely leaning towards not doing it yet. I'm definitely leaning towards I need more experience in this sort of even considering being a public figure or getting involved in public service to that degree.
Right.
I feel like I need more experience. Just because I can do something doesn't mean that I should.
I have seen that documentary.
Indeed. I'm not creating dinosaurs, but I, might be giving myself an ulcer. But I also have the solace to fall back on that I'm not doing nothing. That I am looking at what my strengths are and seeing how I can apply them right now.
Right.
So
No,
in that
and
respect,
that is
I have something to
commendable.
not be disappointed
Yeah.
in myself in. Being like, well I could have done more.
No, and you should not be like, don't misunderstand me. Me saying that I think you should do it is just giving my honest opinion on it. But if you choose not to, I don't think you should be disappointed that you chose not to. You know what I mean? Like, I don't think you should be like, oh, I could have done more. Like, no, you're doing what you can. You have to also, like, at the end of the day, you have to be honest with yourself about what you are capable of. And if what you are capable of right now is helping in this way, then that is what you are capable of, and that is commendable that you are entering the fight even a little bit, because how many of us sit on the sidelines going, well, that's fucked up. And then that's all we do, is we just go, well, that sucks. And we don't actually ever do anything about it. We just argue on Facebook, you know, which doesn't fucking help anybody. How many of us actually go out and try to have an impact and make a difference in whatever way that we can? You know, I would argue most people fucking don't. And that's also, and don't misunderstand me again, that's also okay. Like, I'm not sitting here trying to say if you don't do anything in politics or, you know, like, try to make a change in the world or whatever, that you're not, like, doing. That's not what I'm saying at all. It just in this particular thing, like, do not feel bad if you choose to do the social media job and not the city council part of it. That is more than okay and more than understandable and more than most people are doing. You know?
Word.
Did you expect that to be my answer? Did you expect me to say no?
I thought
Just out of
that you might
curiosity.
say that I should go for it because you said it
Yeah.
last week and you're never wrong.
You're right. You are correct.
But I am leaning pretty heavily towards just knowing my limits and not stretching myself too thin, keeping my eye on it, keeping my options open
Right.
for the future.
Right.
Seems to make the most sense for me. But
And that's-
obviously I wanted your opinion.
Yeah. You're the one who ultimately has to make that choice. Because it ultimately, like, and understand too that even doing this part of it, right? And I don't want you to say, like, what you just said there, just doing this. Like, don't fucking put that qualifier on it. There is no just doing this. You are doing this. You know what I mean? Saying just feels like you're cheapening the contribution that you're making. And I don't want you to do that. Because what you're doing deserves more respect than that, I feel. But understand that doing this part of it also puts you in the line of fire.
It does indeed. But it puts me in the line of fire in a way that I think I can handle.
Okay. I don't want you to think like, oh, I'm just, you know, this part of it, I'm just going to be over here and nobody's going to see it. You know, putting your name in there is putting your name in there.
Right. Well, of course. And, you know, I'm already technically there because I'm on a committee, but at the same token, like, I'm not going to be posting things as me. I'll be posting this is just as as the official Democratic of this area, you know, page, and making other pages exist and not just wishing people happy birthday.
Yeah. Which is not unimportant. Everybody loves a good birthday wish.
It's just, you know, when you say, like, all right, I'm a Democrat and I live here. I want to be involved. Type. I don't know how many of these people are,
Julie.
but happy birthday, Sid, from 3 years ago. Okay. Is there any information about when we meet? What I can do? What's happening in my... Nothing at all? Okay, cool. I wanted a calendar, right? I wanted, like, when are things happening? show me where things are happening. So the previous mayor,
that
during
makes
our
perfect
meeting,
sense.
she goes to the Atlantic County Democrats website, and she's like, there's a calendar on here that'll go break down everything for you. I'm like, okay, where is the calendar? Because I'm looking at the page right now, and I don't see anything on here that makes it look like there's a calendar. And she starts looking at it, and she's like, I know it's on here somewhere. And as soon as she said that was the click right there. It was like,
yep,
this is already broken. But, I let her figure it out. And eventually we found it under, there's a header at the top of the page that says resident. And when you click on resident, there is an events calendar. Now, when I say events calendar, that makes me think like art in the park or events that are happening, not like when the next meeting is. That doesn't say events calendar, doesn't say that to me. And I certainly wouldn't know to look under it under the header resident.
No, certainly not.
So that's what I said to her when we were done. Like, you and me just did this. Took us 5 minutes to find this information. Who else is doing that? Nobody.
Right.
That's why the local Democrat meetings that happen once a month are 12 octogenarians and me. It's
because they got nothing else to do but find that fucking information.
Exactly. Or they found it in the Yellow Pages 30 years ago, and now they know what they just haven't been going ever since.
That's why we don't change it, because then fucking Ethel and Mertrude, or whatever the fuck her name is. Mertrude. That's right. Ethel and Mertrude. I was going with Myrtle and Gertrude at the same time, and it came out Mertrude.
I thought you were just coming up with Ethel Merman, but...
Yeah, or that. I don't know. I wasn't expecting things to get so serious tonight. Fuck, man. That's wild.
Yeah.
That's not great. That's not what you want.
With that. I'm going to help fix that problem. And I think
because that is a problem.
That is a problem. It's a huge problem.
Yeah. That's a big, smelly problem.
There's no messaging. Messaging is important. But you know what else is important? What games have you played this week? Let's talk about some Digi games.
Jesus. All right. So what have I played this week? They started a new thing in Snap that's pretty fun called Sanctum Showdown. It's been just a cool way to play the game, and one of the rewards, it's the best card design that they've ever come up with for a card that no one is ever going to use. But one of the rewards you can get is an Uncle Ben card. Okay.
I heard about this.
Yes. When Uncle Ben is destroyed, you replace the card with Spider-Man. And that is just great. That's outstanding. You kill the card and Spider-Man shows up. I fucking love everything about it. It's such a silly thing. And fuck you guys for doing that. That's so hurtful. What a dickhead thing to do. He could have given a buff to all the other cards, with great power, great response, whatever. Anyway, but that's been fun. But for actual gaming, the children, Roddy in particular, but Penn as well, have been weirdly obsessed with Wreck-It Ralph again. Specifically, the first one. Wreck-It Ralph, not the sequel, Ralph Breaks the Internet.
Ralph Breaks the Internet.
And they have been looking for things with King Candy. Because he really is a super fun villain and all of that stuff. And, as we're talking, they were like, it's really weird that Disney never made a racing game with, the Sugar Rush stuff. Like, how does Sugar Rush, this really fun looking racing game, it's Disney, like, how does this just not exist anywhere?
Yeah, they made a Wreck-It Ralph game.
Yeah, they made the Fix-It Felix game. Like, that exists. And it's super fun and cute and charming and all of those things. But how does this... And I was like, well, there's this free-to-play Disney racing game that I've really never spent any time with. But there's the Disney Speedstorm. I'm sure. I was like, I'm sure there's some Wreck-It Ralph stuff in there. I'm sure there's a Sugar Rush level or whatever. Why don't we just check it out? you know, because we were talking for whatever reason, also just about like kart racers in general. Like it just came up at dinner because these are the, you know, important, hard hitting family discussions that we have around the dinner table. Is like, why has PlayStation never made a kart racer? You know, like, why can't I fucking pick Kratos and he's in a chariot and, like, I don't know, fucking Jack is riding Daxter or whatever. Like, you know, like, why does Mario Kart exist? And it works so well for them, but nobody else has really been able to do it, like, blah, blah, blah. So, anyway, there's this Disney game, let's download it. So we downloaded Speedstorm, which is a free-to-play thing, and it has all of the predatory transactions and all of that stuff. But on the other side of it, there's actually a really fun, competent racing game there. Like, it is basically just Mario Kart with Disney characters, but it is all Disney-themed levels and, like, remixes of Disney songs, and there's a pretty deep character roster that you can unlock through free-to-play stuff. I mean, obviously, you can spend money to get all of the other things that you want, but there's a really fun, competent racing game that we've, you know, because the races are so short, even though my hands are still kind of fucked up, getting better and whatever, but, like, for 2 minutes at a time, I can play a racing game, you know, so, like, we've played a ton of Speedstorm this week and had an absolute fucking blast with it. It's really good. And I'm shocked as shit at how good it is. Have you seen it? You've never played it, right?
No. I mean,
you guys like never downloaded it or whatever.
No, the kids never showed any interest in it, and we still play Mario Kart. So
yeah,
we're kind of okay in that regard.
Yeah. Like I said, if they had not been, like, looking for something specifically with, you know, King Candy and the Sugar Rush stuff, like, we probably just would have left it alone. But it's legitimately really fun. It's really good. It looks great. It controls really well. I mean, it's Mario Kart. Like, same fucking mechanics of drifting and, you know, the shortcuts and obstacles and power-ups and all of that stuff. It's all in there. It is a direct fucking ripoff of Mario Kart. But that's not the worst thing. If you're going to rip something off, you know, that's not the worst one in the world to rip off. So, like, we've been having a lot of fun with it. And one of the unlockable racers is Figment. And now I have to. Now I fucking have to. Right? Because, like, okay, you got me. Fuck, man. I don't want to. I don't want to put in the time I'm going to have to put in to unlock Figment. But Figment's in there, and Figment's not in fucking anything. And he's my favorite. Like, it's him and fucking Elliot from Pete's Dragon. Like, I don't know why the two dragons are my favorite things, but they are my fucking favorite things. So anyway, we spent a lot of time with that. And then in almost exactly the same type of game, Tiff and I started playing another one of the Supermassive games, The Devil Inside, which is about America's first serial killer, H.H. Holmes. So very, very similar to Disney Speedstorm, kart racer with Disney characters, and a Supermassive Games story about the first serial killer. Supermassive are the ones that do The Quarry and all those fucking, like, choose your own adventure games that are basically just movies that you control. But this one, we had let our PlayStation Plus subscription lapse because we just weren't really using it as much, like, because I wasn't playing as much and whatever, and it's expensive. We had let it lapse, but then we got Helldivers 2 for Roddy for Christmas, and you can't play it online, which is the only way to play that game, without having PS Plus. So we re-upped that, and, you know, we were looking for something else for Tiff and I to play, because a couple of the other Supermassive games, because it's the fucking something anthology, I forget what they call it, because they have, like, their game, the Dark Pictures anthology. They have, like, The Quarry and Until Dawn and like games that exist outside of this. And then they have this other like little subset of games called the Dark Pictures Anthology. And a couple of them had been on PlayStation Plus before, but the one that I was really interested in was this Devil Inside Me one. Or is it Devil Inside Me or just Devil Inside? It doesn't fucking matter. Because like I am not, and no judgment for people who are, I am not like super into serial killers as like a fascination or whatever. I know that there are a lot of people that are. I think I've mentioned it before on the show, but like I contributed, my friend Rachel made this fucking serial killer coloring book that I contributed some stuff to, like artwork and stuff like that. You know, I know that there is a group of people that are super into it. The only one that I've ever been really, really fascinated by is H.H. Holmes. And he, do you know anything about him?
Is it Triple H's True Identity?
Yes, 100%. No, he is the devil in the White City. He is most famous for allegedly killing a bunch of people during the Chicago World's Fair. And he bought a building in Chicago that he basically turned into a murder house because it had like gas chambers and fake floors with like spike pits on the bottom of them. And like all this just wild ass shit that like in the 1920s just seems fucking absurd that this would be happening. To me, it is a fascinating thing because most of it is also probably bullshit. But it's just this really, really interesting thing. So this game takes place during the Chicago World's Fair, but also takes place in a weird collector's house where he has recreated parts of the original like murder mansion, and you're like part of a documentary film crew. I don't know. It's just really interesting. I dig those types of games. And it's been nice to be able to play through something and feel like a sense of progression and accomplishment and that sort of thing that I haven't been able to get in a while from video games. So, you know, kind of slow baby steps getting to this point has been really cool. And if you like serial killers or you like these kind of choose your own adventure style games, this one's really dope. The Supermassive team does a really good fucking job with this stuff. Like they make a type of game like we were talking about earlier. Like it doesn't have to be the biggest, baddest thing in the world. Like you do a thing and you do it well, just do that thing. And that is what Supermassive does. And I appreciate that. So that's been really cool. And then I spent a little bit more time with Fight and Rage this week. Legitimately fun arcade style beat 'em up. I dig it. It plays really well on the Steam Deck. A little bit more time with Pacific Drive on PS5, although that really, there's just a lot of management. My hands kind of cramp up quickly on that one. Spent a little bit more time with them's Fighting Herds, which it's absurd how gorgeous that game looks for what it is. For a game that started off as a My Little Pony fighting game, it is beautiful. It animates incredibly well. It's just fucking gorgeous. I love it. I booted up Battletoads to see how that would run on the Steam Deck, because every now and again there's like, that's a weird game to not work on here, but that works totally fine. So I've spent like little bits and pieces here trying to slowly figure out like what I can and can't do. But it's coming back, and like I'm starting to feel pretty good about getting back into like playing games full time, which is nice. Like I'm pretty excited about it.
Nice.
Yeah.
Well, that's good for you.
It's a lot more than Snap and Pad, which is what I've been able to say for the last couple of months.
Well, that's good. I have a bit less than that. I did finally, since I'm caught up on my Nintendo 4 stuff, I finally started Thousand Year Door, which I had gotten as a gift with a brother.
Very nice.
I'm only about an hour into it. I think I didn't get as much time to play over the weekend because it was a busy weekend, and obviously I haven't touched anything all week because this week has been this week. But it hasn't grabbed me yet, but it hasn't not grabbed me either. I'm still pretty early on, so I haven't really gotten a good sense for the flavor of what this game is really going to do for me yet. But so far, so good. I'm looking forward to putting some time into it this weekend. I don't have any major plans for this weekend other than returning my old phone for a trade-in towards my new phone, which I have, which is nice.
Right.
So I started that. I went to I do a quick little gym update from this morning. I was sick earlier this week too. I was pretty fucked up on Wednesday as far as being sick is concerned. So I skipped the gym on Wednesday, and then I went Thursday and Friday. So I did another 2 days in a row. And in order to take it slightly lighter on myself this week, today, since it was my second day in a row, I did a slightly lighter cardio thing. I went on the treadmill and I just walked as fast as I could. And I was very proud of myself because I kept making it go faster. And it was a solid 10 minutes before I even started sweating, or even began to feel slightly winded. I got 10 minutes into my workout before anything. So my cardio is doing pretty okay.
That's
very
awesome.
Proud of myself. Yeah, feeling good about that. I'm pretty fancy. Last weekend, this isn't a specific video game related thing, but it leads into it eventually. I went to go see Godspell at my local high school because it was the final production of my old drama teacher, Mr. Garrison. Yes, my drama teacher's name was Mr. Garrison.
Mr.
Garrison. That was before South Park.
Oh God, that had to suck.
It probably did. But yeah, it was his final show. He's been teaching, I think, at that school for 25 years, 30 years. I can't remember now because my brains are mush. But Chip Garrison was like, joining drama in high school was something that my mom kind of pushed me into, and it was like the best thing for my entire life. I met so many people that and got closer to people that I had already kind of knew that are still friends to this day, including my best friend Paul and Sean, who does the Theater Near You podcast with me. Mr. G actually wrote for Geekade for a little while there, which was super fun.
Yeah.
He did some movie and TV related stuff, which was awesome. I got to edit my own teacher's work. This guy's a fucking legend, and it was something. I'm not a big fan of Godspell, but he did some pretty fun things in it. Like he took some political stances in it.
Nice,
just like straight up like kids on stage holding up signs that say trans rights and Gaza Strip and etc. And like one of had a kid like wearing a Trump wig doing an impression for one of the stories about how like a rich asshole was doing something terrible to the people like during the show. Like he took some stances, and we talked to him at an intermission. He was like, "What are they going to do? Fire me?"
Love that.
Absolutely love it. But yeah, that was really great to I saw a handful of people I hadn't seen in a long time who all came out of the woodwork to go to Mr. G's last show, and it was nice. I got to do that. But so Paul was one of the people that went there, and he came to my house beforehand, and the two of us sat down and put about maybe an hour and a half into Vengeance Hunters. Did you get to try that one yet?
No. Did you send it to me?
I did. Yes.
You said. Where did you send it to me?
I'm pretty sure I sent you in the, was it in SAG chat or no? Maybe it was in SAG. I want to say you even thanked me for it.
I definitely did not. That part I am sure of. Most of my brain still doesn't work, but that much I'm 100% sure I did not thank you for that. Because I am an asshole.
Right. Yeah, it's here in the SAG chat. And it's
okay.
Yeah.
I will go find it.
It's Saturday at 8:17 a.m.
Son of a...
So
Well, that's why I didn't fucking see it. Who's awake at that hour on a Saturday? Jesus.
That was when I
animal.
started getting to work on all the show notes and music and stuff for the episode. So,
All right,
yes,
I'm
so
going back.
there it is. So, play Vengeance Hunters so we can talk about it. I'll hold my thoughts until next week then. So I won't talk about Vengeance Hunters until then. But yes, your review code is there, sir. Give it a download and
it's a Steam code, right?
It was a PlayStation 5 code.
Oh, even easier. I'll do that when I get upstairs.
And that was pretty much it. Yeah, that was. I started Thousand Year Door, played Vengeance Hunters, and that's all the gaming I did this week. Just been
nice.
Big old ball of sickness, stress, and watching my wife crap her brains out.
Yeah, that sucks.
Yeah, but that's over now. Now I have this weekend, and I'm going to relax. I'm going to play more Thousand Year Door. I'm going to get some choring done around the house. Just kind of take it easy. No big plans.
I'm going to have a lot to talk about next week because the Steam Next Fest is going on right now, where they have all the demos out for games that are coming and all types of stuff. And I think there's over 2,000 demos that have been released this week.
Sweet fucking Jesus.
That's a lot of fucking games, man. I'm going to have somebody... I'm either going to have to play 2,000 games this week, or I'm going to have somebody fucking do some curate. Yeah, I'm looking at it right now. There are... in the Steam Next Fest, if I hide the ignored items, which I don't even know what I have ignored on here, and I filter it to just English... there are 2,340 matches.
Oof. That's a lot of nuts.
That's a lot of nuts. Maybe I don't know. We'll find something to look at. I don't know. How many there's only 55 Metroidvanias. Okay. So maybe I will play 55 Metroidvania demos, this week, and we'll talk. That's what we'll do next week. We'll do the SAG bag,
all that,
and 55 Metroidvania fucking demos from Steam.
Well, next week's not the SAG bag.
Oh no, I thought it was. What's next week?
Well,
I'm disappointed.
We should wrap things up anyway. We're well into hour 3 of this podcast tonight.
Sorry.
Well, thanks for talking me through stuff. Your opinion was very much appreciated. I hope it was, of any value to the people that are listening to the show as well. But if it's extremely boring, then Evan can edit it out. But anyways, I think we're gonna.
That's what you're here for.
It is. So we're gonna call it here. We're gonna say that is our show. I'm gonna say join us next time for the Alphabet Super Series. It was my pick.
That's right.
And I went with UN Squadron for Super NES. You can absolutely play the arcade game too. I'm probably going to do a little bit of that myself. But the Super NES game is going to be the main focus, and I'm super jazzed about it because I fucking love this game.
It's so good. Yeah.
I haven't played through to completion in quite some time, so I'm really jazzed about it. So with that, yes, the SAG bag is coming soon. So if you have questions for us that you want to put in the SAG bag, then read on the show and get answers to your burning questions and send them to us at mail@geekade.com. We've got a running thread in our Discord with SAG bag questions cooking already. So any way you can get in touch with us if you want to ask us questions about us, the Stone Age Gamer store, or lawn care, whatever the fuck, doesn't matter.
Yeah, just be careful what you wish for,
because we will answer them. Dan in particular.
Yeah. Yeah, I just, you can't put the ketchup back in the bottle, is all I'm saying.
Alrighty, everyone. We're on most social media platforms, and if you want to get in touch with us, we aren't very difficult to find. All it takes is a quick look at our show notes, and you'll see links to our social media accounts, as well as all manner of other fun stuff, like a link to our namesake, StoneAgeGamer.com, and more useful links than you can shake a joystick at. If you'd like to get early access to this show's episodes, as well as a bevy of other shows on the Geekade Podcast Network, check out our Patreon, also linked to in the show notes. It helps keep the show running week after week, and all our patrons are loved and appreciated. This show's theme song, Squared Roots, was written by Banjo Guy Ollie. You can learn all about his wonderful music and more by following the link to his YouTube channel, also in the show notes. And finally, as always, we'd like to thank our intrepid editor, Evan, for making the show listenable for all you folks. But I thank all you folks for listening in the first place. That's it. On behalf of Dan and myself, keep playing games.